Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I'm trying to be kind of quiet just in case you cranked your volume, and just in case I'm like about to blast your face off. I'm going to speak just a little bit here quietly. Welcome. How is everybody? I'm enjoying the sounds of the fish. Notice there's literally, you might catch some fish jumping. Oh, we have the rocket venting. Perfect timing. Yeah, I think we're pretty close here on time. I think we kind of set the clock to around 4 p.m. Central Standard Time based on this. Do you guys have sound? Okay, cool. So here's what we're looking to see today. We don't actually know. This is one of those things. We're hearing rumors swirling online that, they might be doing a few different static fires of serial number 8. So this, of course, guys, this rocket that we're seeing here, this thing is now a solid 50 meters tall. It's freaking huge. This is the rocket that's going to fly to 15 kilometers, which is right around 50,000 feet, probably in about a week or so. And it'll go kind of mostly up-ish. I don't want to say straight up, because it'll translate horizontally a decent amount, turn around and come back and land. And so we're thinking they're going to be testing out firing different sets of engines. They need to do a header tank static fire, because don't forget, when it relights its engines for the landing burn, it'll be using those header tanks. If you guys haven't watched my video about Starship, your definitive guide, the complete guide to Starship, definitely have a watch on that, because we kind of talk about those header tanks that are in there. And that's how they're going to relight the Raptor engines on this vehicle while they're going from that belly flop to tail down maneuver. They have to be doing it that way. So yeah, which is super cool. So today we think we're going to be seeing a header tank static fire. We don't really know exactly for sure if it's header tanks or main tanks. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we really have no idea, frankly. Not 5. There's 3 engines on this vehicle, so it won't be more than 3. But we do think it actually will be less than 3. We're hearing a lot of talk that this landing maneuver might do just a single engine, and then for the kick maneuver, and then 2 to land on or something. So we might actually see combinations of like a single engine static fire, and then a 2 engine static fire, and then another 3 engine static fire, or something. We don't necessarily know for sure what we're going to witness today, but they are fueling up for a static fire. So yeah, and we're about 11-ish minutes. We're kind of estimating. We can only estimate, where we're actually at here with events that we're seeing on screen. So we don't necessarily know for sure. Our estimate is about 10 minutes. But normally the rocket venting, I think we had a little tiny bit off. So we're going to push it back a couple minutes here. So we think that the rocket venting was about 15 minutes, and it started doing that 3 minutes ago. So we kind of adjusted about 2 minutes. So yeah, we're thinking about 12 minutes. We should see 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 after a static fire. Meanwhile, we've got some awesome fish jumping right now, which is great. Super excited. So this is a big event for me. I'm watching this very closely, and the next couple static fires, because like I said, I'm pretty sure there's going to be 2, maybe 3 static fires before they go for the hop. I'm still thinking the hop's at least a week away, which means that I'm going to be not leaving, because I would like, my ideas, I want to try to stream Crew 1 from here. I will have a lot better streaming experience. You guys will have a lot better streaming experience. We'll have a lot better control, a lot better environment if I stream from here for Crew 1, which would be Saturday the 14th currently, maybe Sunday the 15th. Then as soon as that's done, I hit the road and get down there, and we've got some awesome stuff to set up for our coverage of serial number 8. But I think, yeah, this is looking good, though. This is looking really good. So this is from Peyton saying, fish, thank you. Spelling it the good old way. I've never really listened to fish, but this is from AVFWT. Elon probably sends Tim the correct test dates. I wish that would actually be extremely helpful to be able to plan when to really hit the road. We just really are looking at milestones. We're looking at road closures. We're looking at milestones. Really just trying to, people, it was so funny, like 2 weeks ago, I had people saying, Tim, why aren't you leaving yet? It's like, because I will be sitting in a hotel for weeks. I won't be productive, and this way I was able to, we got that video out, the Starship, the definitive guide to Starship video. Again, if you haven't watched that, definitely give it a watch, or send it to friends that don't quite know why you're so excited. It is like this general overview of everything. That video is supposed to be a good reference and a resource for people that just are seeing some of this stuff happen, but they don't know quite what the different things are. Why is it stainless steel? What are those flaps? Why is this a different over Falcon 9? You know, all of the things. It's just supposed to be kind of a definitive guide to Starship. So hopefully you guys watched that, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making that one. There's a lot of I'm such a visual reference learner myself. I love seeing diagrams. I love seeing things laid out with charts and infographics. And so that's why we always make sure to really, include those for you guys too, because that's the way I personally learn a lot. And if those aren't in a video, then it's hard for me to digest information without that. So yeah. All right. Well, let's keep answering some of you guys' questions. I really hope this thing happens today. This is from X, the professional X. Hey, Tim, have we had a pointy end up flaming and down check? Thanks for you and your crew. We have not. Well, technically it's checked off. Andrew, we better uncheck pointy end up flaming and down, because I haven't actually given it the confirmation yet. And this is, as you guys know, this is an art. This is truly art form here. I mean, years of training to really work on the orientation check of rockets. I mean, I've been doing this here for a solid 3 or 4 years now. So here we go. You ready? I actually do want to confirm that at this current exact moment, the pointy end of this vehicle, which is finally obvious. This is one of the first times this is the first time on Starship. This is the first time on Starship I've actually been able to confirm that it has a pointy end that's pointy end up. That's actually a big milestone. That's exciting. The pointy end is up, my friends, and the flamey end is down. This is a first for Starship. It has a pointy end to be up. That's actually kind of cool, isn't it? Who knew? Who knew that we'd be excited about that milestone? But it is a milestone. That's a big deal. It has, for the first time, a nose on it. So that's super cool. It is confirmed. Pointy end up, flamey end down. We're about 8-ish minutes or so from T0. So we're just keeping our eyes on that. So this is from CPL Daywalker. Happy birthday, Marines. Yes, absolutely. It is the anniversary of the start of the Marines. So happy birthday. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. So don't forget, if you live in the United States and if you know anyone that served, maybe give them a good thank you, and just remember to be thankful for the people that have served the country. This is from Neil Price. Yes. In Slipknot voice. Here comes the flag. Thanks, Neil. That's one of my best friends, Neil. We both grew up listening to Slipknot almost exclusively. We're from Iowa, so how can you not listen to Slipknot when you're from Iowa? I guess that's all we had to do when we were in junior high and high school. Okay, it looks like we have had confirmation that the siren's gone off, so that means we are within our 10-minute window, my friends. Oh, baby, I can't wait. Thank you, Neil, by the way. I hope I get to see you someday soon. All right, this is from Friday Ray. Happy birthday, United States Marine Corps, keeping the Army safe since 1775. I've never heard that. That's awesome. Thanks, Friday Ray. We got a new member from Richard. Thank you so much, Richard. Guys, this is looking good. Look at all that venting happening. Flo wants to know if that's the Neil that you met. No, unfortunately, I have too many Neils in my life and too many Bens. Flo, you met Neil Johnson, who has helped with some of the video stuff that I've done. This is Neil Price, who is just a good friend of mine from young days. And he's still a good friend of mine now. One of my best friends. Yeah. So, yeah, this is not a launch. I should remind everyone, this is not the launch yet. When the launch is happening, I'm going to be making a bigger deal of this. You'll be seeing me down there streaming for days. We have some really fun... really fun things planned for you guys down there. We're probably going to do a couple additional live streams while I'm down there, at on-site and stuff like that, answering some of your guys' questions. But also, I don't want to spoil it yet, and I haven't even talked to everyone about this, but I think we've got some fun things planned with some other special guests and stuff too. As well as hopefully, I will, of course, hopefully have an interview with Elon here soon too, while I'm down there. So depending on how things look and all that stuff, so I'll be paying close attention for, that will be the third interview with Elon, which I'm really excited about. We can ask him a lot of questions and hopefully get some of those answers. Space Viking in our Discord channel wants to know, is there a date set for the launch yet? If it is, it doesn't matter. There is no point. Everyone learn this right now. Listen to my voice. If you ask, when is it going to launch? unless it's literally, even if it's the day of, we have no idea. SpaceX doesn't know. It's all milestone based. There's like a whole checklist of things they need to get done before this thing flies. And it seems like by our estimates, they have not really got within, or they're around that week time frame right now. So they, yes, Andrew Tay in our Discord says it'll launch when it's done. That's, you guys might know that that's my like saying when people ask me, when's my video going to be ready? When's my video coming out? When it's done. Starship will launch when it's done, when it's ready. So we're really, really, really thinking it'll be, you know, at least a week. So we're going to be paying attention, of course, to the FAA stuff, the road closures and all that stuff. So launch date is when it launches. Yep. So, yeah, so just kind of stand by, pay attention on Twitter. We'll try to keep you guys up to date, but it's not really worth constant updates because it constantly changes. When you see me hit the road for Texas, you know I think we're within about 3 days. Because I'm going to try to hit the road about 3 days from where I think it is, which then means I'm leaving room for it. It'll probably slide right. Everything slides right. So if you see me hitting the road on Twitter or on Instagram, you know that I think we're about 3 days away. That's the best I can give you. Other than that, it's not really even worth much more of an update. Okay, we are about 4 minutes out. I'm going to make sure the live view is nice and cranked. I want to hear those birds and fishes. Fisheye. This is from, look how beautiful this is, by the way. Everyone, we need a real quick thank you to Spadre. That is, of course, Spadre Isle on Twitter. Hey, Andrew, we're actually missing their logo from our thing here. Can we make sure and add with Spadre Island on there? Because they are the ones running the camera today, as always, and are just a huge resource, a huge asset for the team. So everyone say thank you to Rachel and Jean. And find them on Twitter. You know them on Twitter already, Spadre Isle. They are the absolute rock stars that help make all this stuff happen and are helping us get everything ready for the serial number 8 hop. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. This is Simon. Says, hi, Tim. Has Elon committed to a chat with you at Boca Chica? Yeah, actually, there's been 2 confirmations that he wants to do an interview and a tour next time I'm down there, basically. Ooh, look, we have venting up at the nose cone. That's a first. That's a first. So we might be looking for engine cool down here, which probably is about now. Yeah, so we do have confirmation from Elon but I haven't actually set up anything hard dates yet because, again, so much of this vehicle, so much of this program is just hard. It's just milestone based. So, all right, I think we're within about 2 minutes. I really don't know, so I'm going to get ready. As soon as I see it vent, I can put a plus clock now on there. Thanks to Andrew Taylor for getting all this stuff set up. We actually have a pretty smart clock system now. So as soon as it does go, I can give you guys a T plus time, which is awesome. This is from Matthew. Hey, Tim, for testing to keep pace with production, do you think we will see Starship on pad A and B at the same time soon? I think we should. I think one of the pads might just strictly be for like that static to do the stress test on it with those big hydraulic rams. You know, that way they don't have to move that around. Like kind of put it. I think we could just see them do serial things like put it here. Then the next part of the thing is put it here. Do this test on it. The next one's put it here. Do that test on it. And that way it's just kind of moving them around. And I think we will start seeing them utilizing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2-3 Starship, different variants of different vehicles, different stages of them out at the pad. Okay, so we think we're within about a minute now, guys. Oh, the stream description is wrong. Andrew, do you want to look at that while we're going here? That apparently the stream description is wrong. But we think we're about a minute out. Thank you very much, Jacob. Oh, I can't wait to get on the road. This is going to be awesome. I'm so excited to get down there. So once we get it to T0, all right. Let's see here, guys. A decent amount of venting going from up top there. Did you guys see that? A decent amount of venting there from the top. Still venting from the top. That might be a header tank. So either they're right about to fire, or they're venting from the top tank. That might be our... Oh, is there also a vent from the middle of the tank? Hold on. Okay, that seemed to close up. It's hard to tell. We haven't really seen... Well, by our estimate, it should be right about now. Yeah, we're seeing more venting from that top vent. Again, this is new. We've never actually seen this vehicle. We'll see. I don't see any reason why this is... Okay, we'll push back a little bit. We have really no idea. We're just estimating here. But I'm going to push the clock. Once the clock goes plus, I'll give it another minute or so. It seems like we're really within... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to update our clock. Again, this clock is just a rough estimate, guys. But we think we're really, I mean, we don't really know what a full scrub D tank looks like from the header tanks. At least I don't. Okay, but I mean, we're not seeing any major venting. We're seeing some little, you know, like that's like the pressurizing venting, but we're not seeing any big, like, detank vents. The detanking vent is normally pretty obvious because they just really, you know, let those vents open big time and they detank the vehicle quickly. Those look like that is operating pressure. You know, that's like a little bit of a vent. I don't think it's over yet. I don't think it's over yet. I'm not... I think they're still going for it because we're still seeing constant venting from the, like, the engine purge lines kind of down there. The venting coming from the bottom of the rocket. That seems to be... if those seal up and you see other vents open up big time, then that would normally be a defuel from based on prior experience. But as far as, since those are still running nominally, people still don't quite know that nominal is a play on nominal and normal. And it was a thing that SpaceX presenter John Insprucker accidentally said on air one time. And from then on, it's been cemented as spaceflight nerdism, basically. So that's what nominal is. People are like, I can't believe this guy doesn't even know how to spell nominal. There's no R in nominal. It's like, yeah, it's not nominal. This is nominal. So the nominal amount of venting still seems to be occurring from the bottom. So I think they're still doing this. Okay, I'll try to get to you guys' questions. I might wait though until after we get a successful static fire because I don't want to be sitting there having to read and then miss the static fire. I don't have any reason to think they've scrubbed yet. We're still seeing the right amount. Oh, you can even see a little bit of frost on the tip of the nose cone there, indicating that the LOX tank, because there is that LOX header tank up there. That is a good sign. I like that. That's a good sign. So the next thing we're going to look for is we should see those bottom vents right before the engine's light, like 1 or 2 seconds before. You'll see them go really big on the bottom. Oh, there's a... Okay, this might be it. Or they're detanking. Or that's them detanking. That kind of feels like detanking. That definitely feels like detanking. That's okay. Well, I think we're gonna have to call it Scrubbed. That's detanking, my friends. That's definitely definitely a scrub. Oh, dang it. And this, my friends, is why I'm not sitting down in Texas yet, because there's still work for me to be doing up here, like I said, in Iowa. And this vehicle is still, this is a temperamental test program. Don't forget that. This is not an operational rocket by any stretch of the imagination yet. But who knows if they're able to reset. It's especially if it is header tanks, which we think it is based on the nose cone. You know, they could pretty easily probably repress and try again almost immediately. Let me update here. Hang on. I'm supposed to be moving my great-grandmother's piano today. So this is if people want to know like why you get burnout from streaming or from YouTube, especially Starship stuff, it's because your life is on hold. Literally, it's like I've wanted to help my family move my great-grandmother's piano for days now. And I'm like, oh, but tomorrow there's gonna be this thing, so I can't do it tomorrow. And then like that'll come and be like, oh, well, actually it's scrubbed, so I could have done it today, but I can't do it tomorrow because now it's probably gonna be tomorrow. And then like we get into tomorrow, I'm like, okay, I think by 4 o'clock I should be fine. 4 o'clock rolls around, or right in the middle of it. It's just like putting your life constantly on this like, I don't know, I can't make plans. So we'll see. So yeah, again, it wouldn't be a full detank because it's only header tanks and they're a lot smaller than the main liquid oxygen and liquid methane tanks. So just a friendly reminder here, the vehicle, about 2/3 of it, or about we'll say 3/5 of the bottom part of the rocket are the main tanks. There's the liquid oxygen tank on the very bottom, liquid methane tank above that. And in between those two tanks is the liquid methane header tank, which is a smaller tank. And at the very nose of the rocket, you can see that little frost ring. That is the liquid oxygen header tank. Those are smaller versions of the main tanks. And what those do is they have to be on this rocket. I don't really know of any other operational rockets or anything really that's had header tanks like that, but they're separate tanks that are going to always be full, so that when they're doing that belly flap maneuver, they can light those engines up without sucking in, without sucking in bubbles. If they try to pull from the main tanks while it's horizontal, the holes for those tanks and the way the tanks drain is down through the bottom of those tanks. So if that rocket's sideways and it tried to light its engines, it would suck up air, and the combustion of a rocket engine has to be perfect. Ramping it up to full combustion has to be, the right ratio of fuel and oxidizer through the whole thing. And once it's running, it has to be stable. If you all of a sudden suck up, or have one of your pumps sucking into air bubble and not having the right amount of fuel or oxidizer, it can very easily lead to a massive, massive explosion. So, or just a complete failure of the engine. So that's why you can't ingest bubbles when you're spinning up and operating a rocket engine. They're just extremely temperamental. So, yeah, we'll see here if we get any new information here, but I'll start answering some of you guys' questions as we see if they end up resetting. From Martin Havel, will the Super Heavy booster return looking tempered like Cybertruck? Could be colored because of extreme temperatures during reentry. Would love to see some renders high from check. Awesome. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, I think it will get charred and it will turn like a titanium. You know how titanium exhaust on certain high performance motorcycles and cars, like the headers of a car with titanium exhaust can get that purple fringing. Stainless steel can do a little bit of that too. So there's a chance that some of these rockets will end up looking like purple and have this gradient from like blue to purple and stuff. Once for certain different like amounts of heat that they experience, that should see some of that even, which would be really cool. So there's a chance that Super Heavy booster or parts of Starship that aren't directly in the heat shield will have like discoloration and stuff, which I think will be awesome. Very, very cool. From Kenneth here saying, nice tip from Kenneth. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the tip. This is from Stefan. Says, Can't wait for the flight. $20 for sunscreen for your time waiting in the sun at Boca Chica. Say hi to Mary, and thanks for all of her time and dedication. Love all your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, we will be spending a lot of time, but I won't be streaming in the sun. I'm not going to tell you exactly what my plan is for streaming yet. But we actually do have a cool way that I think I'll be out of the sun for the most part, and should be able to really provide awesome coverage of the stream or of the flight. And still staying safe, because there's going to be about a 5-mile exclusion zone, 8-kilometer exclusion zone, where no one's going to be allowed. They're going to, when they actually do the 15-kilometer hop, there won't be people anywhere nearby, basically, because it's going to be quite a bit riskier and lower chance of success than the normal, 150-meter hop. Look at those fish jump. Yes, I love when on my streams I get to also watch fish jumping. I don't even fish, but this is my version of fishing. Yes. Fish Cam 2020. Everyday astronaut. You come here for rockets and stay for the fish. Oh, that's awesome. Soft Taco says, happy birthday, Marines. The Army is fine without y'all. That's fun. Some good old friendly inter-military competition and yeah. Andrea says, is Elon interview confirmed? Again, not necessarily. We don't have like a time and date, because I don't know when I'm going to be down there. It's more of like once I'm down there, we're probably going to try to figure it out. But we'll see. Nothing completely confirmed. We do still see engine chilling, by the way, guys. We will see. We will see. I'm not seeing any new venting from up top, which would normally mean that they're repressurizing. Andrew, let's go ahead and, well, I think we're still good at keeping it rocket venting. Yeah, they might just be cycling the tanks, just going for it again. We will see. And I'll let you guys know as soon as I know about the Elon interview, when, where, why, how, what exactly we can do. We're hoping to still be able to do a tour, film some kind of little bit of the tour. I don't know what all access we're going to get, but whatever I do get, I will bring it to you guys. Look at the tank farm right now. Did the tank farm just go like to 10, which would mean that they're chilling down for another load in? Yeah, if you go back a couple minutes, yeah. Looks like, okay, Andrew, go ahead and remove the rocket venting until we see some, although we do, I mean, it is venting, so it'd be kind of misleading. It looks like they're repressing and trying again. Yeah, okay. This is from Jeffrey Schweitzer. Says, I was born the same year as NASA. That's awesome. And had given up hope for the space program. So wonderful to see your enthusiasm and know that your generation keeps the dream alive. Thank you, Tim. That's awesome, Jeffrey. You know, yeah, it is a really, really exciting time. The last couple years especially, watching, I think SpaceX has really just set a tone for a lot of the industry, and even, you know, help NASA remember to be excited about the stuff they're working on. Because SpaceX is definitely the one to watch that kind of set the new bar of like, we can still do really wild things, you know, especially on like a shoestring budget most of the time. So yeah, by the way, I'm going to reset the clock here in a little bit once we think we have a better chance of knowing when it's going to be. We don't really have any idea yet, though. So, yeah, to me, I feel like this is a new era of like Apollo. You know, the Apollo program, we just saw so much excitement, so much change, so many things happening just so quickly that we haven't seen anything quite like that again. And I think, you know, a lot of people of my generation is ready to see something like that again. And I feel like this is it. Between the commercial crew program ramping up and going operational, this weekend will really be the true start of the commercial crew program, because it will literally be like the first time it's actually fulfilling its true purpose. It's not a demo and a test flight. It is a full-blown mission with 4 astronauts, you know, and 1 JAXA astronaut, like a NASA, not even a NASA, you know, test astronaut, like an actual a Japanese JAXA astronaut, which is super, super cool. So I think that's going to be just really, really fun to see. So, yeah, between that and then seeing Starship development, seeing the progress out there, even with Rocket Lab working on reusability. Their next rocket they're launching, is that this weekend already? I thought it was about the 15th or so. Let me double check here. But Rocket Lab's going to be working on recovering their first stage. I don't think they would have done that if there wasn't solid, they wouldn't be pursuing that if there wasn't solid evidence from SpaceX that it can be worth it and a real possibility. That's currently scheduled for Sunday the 15th. I would love to be able to stream that from here too. So we'll see. We'll see how this stuff goes. But yeah, so the first time they try to do recovery with Electron will be absolutely incredible, of course. And then seeing like Blue Origin's huge launch pad out there, LC-36 at Cape Canaveral, is massive. It sounds like it's pretty much done, and it sounds like they're building flight hardware for New Glenn, which is awesome. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time to see all this new stuff happening, and Starship is definitely currently, the bar has been set. The other, people are working to catch up to, SpaceX's Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and then of course SpaceX doesn't, rest on their laurels, and they're moving that bar from, 2 meters up to 8 meters. It's like a massive, another leap up big time. So yeah. AVFWT says, I would suggest checking the description, serial number 6. Yeah, we'll update the description. Sorry, I'll have Andrew fix that. I think we reused an old description. Thank you for that. My bad. Brian Tweed says, I'd put the odds of successful landing of Starship. That sounded too real. I'd put the odds of a successful landing of Starship following the belly flop at less than 15%. What do I think? I'm probably around there. I used to think it was like, I would give it about a third. I gave it about a third chance that it would land, like 33% chance of landing, 33% chance that it gets to that landing portion, and then about so let me start it this way. I think I give it about a 75% chance of reaching 15 kilometers without any real issue. 50%. Those are my odds that it makes it to 15 kilometers, its apogee, and starts falling. Wait, what did I say? 50%? I might even be above. I'll say 60. I'll say 66% chance for me that Starship serial number 8 makes it to 15 kilometers to its 50,000 foot apogee. Does the belly flop, like we've been talking about? I give it then only about. Wait. Where am I at here? No, here, okay. 75% chance it makes it to apogee. I'm pretty confident they'll make it to apogee. More than 50-50. 50-50 chance that it controls itself down through reentry and glides under control using the ailerons or the flippity-flappity air brakes. And so I'd say it has about a 50% chance of getting to the point of relighting its engines. 50-50 on that. If it makes it to lighting engines, that'd be awesome. To relighting the engines, that'd be awesome. And then I'd say from there, I'd say about another, so 25% chance. No, here we go. Sorry, this is the worst. I'm the worst. 30% chance that it does relight the engines and does the flip and actually, or begins to do some kind of flip maneuver and or reorients itself from horizontal to vertical. And I'm with you. I think about a 15% chance that it actually sticks the landing. Those are my odds. So just to reiterate, now that I've done this horrible jumble of words and numbers, 75% chance I think it'll make it to apogee. 50% chance it makes it to engine relight. 30% chance it pitches and actually does a relight and reorients itself from belly flop to tail down. And then about 15% chance that it actually goes tail down properly. That's my chance. Yeah, those are weird probabilities. I don't think that's how probabilities are supposed to work, but that's my personal odds. Fight me. Okay, this is from Jesse O saying, I might not get an Atlas V launch on my birthday tomorrow, but at least my mom gets a Starship static fire on hers. Happy Space Day from England. That's super cool, Jesse. Well, I mean, yeah, that's really cool. First off, happy birthday to you and your mom for having a day apart. Yeah, there's a chance that this slips till tomorrow too, and you might get a static fire on your birthday too. We don't know. We never know. But it's looking quiet out there at Boca Chica now. I'm not loving that. The tank farm has settled down quite a bit, hasn't it? Andrew, let's pull the the rocket venting, because it's really not venting that much anymore. Oh, who knows? Who knows what they're doing? I might just let this thing run and work on trying to move that piano quick and then run back here. Like I said, I'm apparently part-time piano mover these days, I guess. Great grandma's piano's gotta go somewhere. I should mention that, yeah, I don't have any grandparents actually alive anymore. I don't have any great grandparents alive, unfortunately. And yeah, so I sold back in the day at one of my old houses. I had my grandma's piano, and I actually sold it to another family member, or like the other side of the family. And then all that we really have left as far as musical instruments from my family is this my great grandma's piano. So I'm taking that because I still want that. So yeah, pianos are us with Tim Dodd. Yeah, so I'm supposed to get this old piano, and I'm excited about it. All right, Caleb Crow. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about piano so much. Caleb Crow, at what point would you choose an Earth-to-Earth flight over conventional international flight? Personally, I would choose to do, like, if I could get to New Zealand in 45 minutes instead of 12 or 14 hours, or by the time you include, for me, flying from one airport to another and doing all the connections and stuff, it's about an 18-hour journey, sometimes even 24 hours, I think is how long it actually took from leaving my house to getting to the hotel. Took about 24 actual hours. If I could get that down to 4 hours, yeah, and experience weightlessness and fly to space in Starship, yeah, I'll do that. Obviously need that to be a normal thing and flying constantly before I consider that a viable option. And I think the FAA would be in that same boat. I don't think they're going to want people doing this if it's not a viable option. But yeah, I think for those international flights like that, it's a no-brainer. For me, flying to Europe isn't as big of a deal. That's, only a 6-7 hour flight, or two, it's fun to do the stopover in Iceland, and so it's like 2 4-hour flights most of the time, depending on where you're going. That's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not that bad with jet lag and stuff. So I think that's no problem. I don't think I'd probably opt for that unless it was a similar price for Starship point to point. But those longer, going to Asia, going to Australia, New Zealand from the United States, South Africa, most of Africa, actually, because Africa, you almost always have some layover for, every time I've flown to Africa, I go through, Istanbul or Frankfurt or something like that. So it'd be really nice to not have to do that either. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a market for a rapid Earth-to-Earth, 30-minute, 45-minute flight. Literally about 50 minutes will get you anywhere by the time you include acceleration and deceleration. Will get you pretty much anywhere point to point. I don't think it'll be able to fly quite that far. It's going to have some limited cross range with just a star. I think they'll end up making like a totally different variant that actually has bigger wings that are more fixed or something. So it has a longer glide ratio. So it's safer and has different abort scenarios or something if we're really talking about putting people on there and flying them around the world. From Bear Lunar 3, 2, 1. Oh, no, never mind. That's welcome to Starship. That's definitely where we're at here. All right. Casper Stanley in our Discord says, how many variants do you need, Tim? Making fun of the fact that I always have, there's already like so many variants. Starship to me is basically the idea of truly using rockets as transportation and not just some bespoke one-off vehicle. Starship is almost like this whole new mindset that a vehicle can be powered by a rocket engine and it can be safe, reliable, and fill needs of a bunch of things. So let's see here. This is Warson says, I'm glad to have they have the ability to find an issue and scrub. Much better than wasting a ton of money for a RUD. That's 100% exactly the the mantra I have. 100%. Thank you. Jacob, thank you so much for your tip. I'm going to fly through these here real quick because I might just pop out and leave this stream up and then come back in when we actually think we're seeing some real action or a reset. Yeah. Silver Video, thank you so much. And I'm letting Andrew and stuff know that we might just leave this baby up. All right, Anders Larson, thank you so much. I love this kind of stuff, and I hope you guys too. I think you guys like this stuff, watching watching Starship become Starship and all of the things spaceflight. It's awesome. Turn Racing says, starting a fund to hire movers for your great grandma's piano. You know, but if you're strong, when you got muscles like this, you just pick up that piano with your bare hands. I don't even know if there's like piano movers in Iowa. I feel like I'm like too remote. Like, yeah, no, we had piano movers back in the day, but now they're gone. All right, William Taylor says the header tank frost ring didn't start to show up until your first countdown was around 1 minute. That could be an indication when we're close in the future. It might be a decent indication. We'll have to learn kind of when that actually is, like pressed for flight. Seeing the little ring on the nose might be a really good indicator that, hey, we're actually getting pretty close. That's a good. I like visual references, make it a lot easier for us to really know. All right. Move the piano. Tim, move the piano. Blood is thicker than methane in RP1. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll pop out here, but there's a few of you guys that there's a lot of you guys that I didn't get to catch up on. Man, I really want to answer these questions, but I also should probably do my family thing real quick and take care. Let me check in with them real quick. All right, let me just check. Jeremy, here's some more money to hire movers for Tim's great grandma's piano and the Tim to Mars Fund. Thank you guys. I don't think that's hilarious. I need an Amazon move my piano fund or something. Like, why isn't there Amazon Prime move the piano when I tell you to do it? Thank you guys. This is Brennan. In your latest video, you mentioned deep space / long range versions of Starship. What planet or moon would you like to see send a Mars-like rover to, and why? Oh man, there are so many. There's so many moons of Jupiter and Saturn that I want to see up close, like Europa and Titan and Enceladus. I really just want to send stuff there. Those three moons to me are some of the most fascinating things in the entire known universe, I guess, so far, like closely observed universe. I want Starship to send some big old fat vehicles and probes and scientific instruments to those three bodies and really just figure out, especially like Europa sending a probe underneath the ice and getting down to the liquid, and really like a nuclear powered submarine that just zooms around and all that stuff. That's what I want. I want that really bad. But a Titan also seems awesome. I just think, I think any of the jovial moons or moons of Saturn, we need more stuff out there. We've had a decent, NASA sent some decent vehicles out there. Really decent. I mean, quite awesome. But we need more. We always need more. We need more. X-Planned. The fish are the heroes of this stream, of course. Fish have been heroes of a lot of my streams lately. Yeah. For those of you just watching, yes, we're waiting to see if they're going to try again. We don't really know where they're at as far as this goes at the moment. I hope that bird's okay. Yeah, there is venting on the vehicle. It looks like the venting has officially stopped on the vehicle. The condenser's running, but the venting's very, very, very minor on Starship. I'm going to turn that down a little bit, unless we want to listen to like Nat Geo mating rituals. Okay. How many Starlink sats can Starship deploy with one flight? About 240. Pretty comfortably 240, if I remember right. Casper's done that. All right. Hey, guys, here's the deal. Since this is in the middle of nothing, I'm going to leave the stream up here for a little bit. I'm going to real quick do the piano thing really quick, and I'll be back. I'm going to be back, but we'll update the clock and stuff if we see anything new. I'll be right back, everybody. Love you. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep this running for you guys. 1 second. Starship, the piano. The piano movement Starship. I hope you guys enjoyed the, hang on, I gotta hear this. So it looks like they have basically stopped even trying to do anything. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna answer you guys' questions here real quick, get through these questions, and then I'm gonna shut the stream down, give Rachel and Gina time to turn off the data and stuff like that too. So, all right, David, Army Disabled Vet here. Thank you, David, for serving. Thank you, Tim, for all your great news. Can't wait to go to Mars. Maybe I'll have less pain. That's 100% true. 38% gravity, baby. You know, maybe if you have back pain or something like that, it won't be so bad on Mars. That's awesome. From Natacat19, thank you so much. This is Mark Gertz. Thank you for the European tip there, my friend. Marcus Persh says, will the main tanks be full when it fires? Is it possible that they fill the main tanks, fill the header tanks, detank the main tanks, and then fire? No. You would know if they fill the main tanks. We'll definitely see a lot of frost along. The reason that you normally don't see frosting during a static fire is they aren't even filling up. So the bulkheads, the tops and the bottoms of the tanks are like a bowl. They're concave. They're not even filling those enough with liquid fuel to get to the point where the fuel's necessarily touching like the outer walls all the way. You might get a little bit sometimes depending on the different static fires. But so far to date, like they really have almost never had to fill the tanks that much. Even the Starhopper hops were the same thing. They barely filled the bulkheads a little bit, not even to the point of getting to the walls. So you really don't see too much, too much of that. So yeah. All right. This is from Bucko04. It's 11 p.m. here. I should study chemistry, math, and history for tomorrow because I have a test, but that's more important. I don't know about that. I mean, you can always watch the replay of this stuff, but there is only limited time to be able to study for a test. So make sure you're out there doing great in school because only some of the best students and hardest working people are going to be the ones literally working to get humans deeper into space and off to Mars and, make our reality of, truly a spacefaring civilization a reality. So get out there and work hard for us. Why are there different patches of color on fuel tanks? That's actually a good question. Some parts have a little bit thicker steel. Some parts have different amounts of welding points, different stringers. There's a whole bunch of different variables between. Some of them, serial number 8 is a mishmash of 304L and some of the older 301 stainless steel parts. So it's kind of a whole mishmash of things. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Andrew, let's turn off ground tank farm clouds, ground carms, ground tank clouds. Moving pianos screwed me up. All right. This is Rip93 Ford. If you were able to survive on the moon without a suit, how many push-ups do you think you could do? I mean, you could probably do it in it wouldn't even be it'd almost be, just moving your arms. You'd just do it until you're tired of doing it, basically. It'd be so easy. Yeah, I think you could do a lot. Too many to count. You'd just be exhausted from, your arms wouldn't get sore. We'll put it that way. They might get sore with the repetition. In the same way, it's hard to hold your arms up like this. Just doing something over and over. It is sore, but it's not like muscle fatigue sore. It's just you're oh, I don't have the juice left in me to just keep doing this. I'm getting tired. Philip Algers, is that Joe Scott on top of the rocket? I wish and don't wish that. I don't want Joe on top of the rocket, but I would love if he would want to ride on a rocket if this was his. No, I don't want him riding on this thing. I need Joe on my podcast. I can't have him. I should say on our podcast. It's not my podcast. On the podcast that I'm on, I need Joe there. So I really don't want him on top of this rocket, and I really do care for him. So I don't think it'd be smart for him to be anywhere near it right now. And that is your friendly reminder that if you don't subscribe and watch Our Ludicrous Future, the show that I do each and every week about rockets and spaceflight and then futurism and EVs, renewable energy, all the fun, exciting things that wake me up in the morning and get me excited for the future, we talk about it on that show. So olfpod.com. Our Ludicrous Future. You can find it here on YouTube. You can also find it on your favorite podcast players. Have at it. Thank you very much, M. Harris, USA. I appreciate that. This is from Colin Jerome. Ever think Elon is watching your stream and just as soon as you get excited about a fire, he says, now turn it off and see what he says next? No, I don't think so. I think they absolutely... we know that Elon has watched NASA spaceflight. I don't know if he's ever watched any of our streams, but he's been entertained by NSF for sure. He might have dialed into one of these a time or two. I don't, obviously they're doing actual work, like real work, and it costs a lot of money to have that many people on the clock. So, and resetting and even the potential to have failures if you're doing something out of the normal or that the, system's not really prepared for. Definitely not worth it just to prank us. So, but it does seem like Wani X is saying he may have turned, scrubbed the static fire here so that I can move the piano, in which case, thank you, Elon. That was very nice of you. Harry Games. Hi, Tim. Love you. I love your videos and I'm a big fan of the channel and SpaceX. I even watch the live streams at 5 a.m. You're hardcore, Harry Games. That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching even at 5 a.m. That takes some dedication. That takes some serious dedication. Jeffrey Tripp, what will happen if Jim leaves NASA? What about SLS? Yeah, I tweeted about that a little bit, which was getting a little too political for my taste. I am going to be so Jim is stepping down from NASA. There's been many reports that Jim Bridenstine will be stepping down, which is, in my opinion, very sad. I really would have liked if we could have seen if there was an offer on the table in the Biden administration to keep him on, because I think that's one of the biggest things is the whiplash that NASA gets in between administrators and in between different what's it called? Presidential administrators and oh man, those two words are too similar. Administrators and administrations. There we go. Okay, wow, that was way too hard to think about. Between the different presidential administrations too, there's a lot of whiplash as they change their mind on what programs are going to fund, how much are going to fund it. In general, I need to tell you guys this now. I'm seeing people on Twitter literally saying now that Democrats are the president's a Democrat, NASA's no more. NASA will have nothing left. That is absolutely ridiculous. Don't forget Congress mostly is in charge of NASA's budget and stuff. And if you look at historically, the Obama administration, in general, the funding was very similar for all 8 years compared to Trump. The Trump administration did help. They helped especially fund SLS and the Artemis program. They were very generous in trying to fast track that. And I liked that. I thought that was fun to see some movement towards the moon and an actual concrete plan and some actual things written. And I think Jim Bridenstine is really doing a phenomenal job of doing that. And of helping get that stuff going and moving forward. That's why I would have loved to see Jim Bridenstine staying on at NASA as an administrator. That would have been because that's true bipartisanship. That would have been he is done an amazing job as an administrator, and it really would have been good for NASA and for the country, and for the Biden administration to have the same administrator. I feel like. But maybe Jim just doesn't, Jim was and historically is a politician. So maybe just because of his own political leanings, he does not want to work under a Democratic president. I know chat's probably going crazy right now all about politics. Please, guys, remember, we're all here on the same planet together. I don't care where you live. When we talk about things like this, it's to help educate and to remind us that everything's going to be okay. We have a lot of exciting things to look forward to with space flight. And of course, this is that fine line where politics does involve my job of talking about spaceflight. So I will talk about it in this context. But please, for the love of God, let's come together and at least try to be still excited about, absolutely be excited about the future. I think the Biden administration will focus a lot on commercial programs like the Obama Biden administration did. They funded the Commercial Crew program. So, and really got that off the ground and running. It probably didn't have as much funding as a lot of people would have liked, but it was fair. It was the amount of funding that was originally appropriated in the beginning. It never really increased funding to fast track it or to help it go forward. But the general amount of funding NASA receives is very good. The one thing I would love to see better that got canceled under the Trump administration was the educational outreach got pulled from NASA. And planetary observation and planetary science was really underfunded and a lot of programs cut that I think are vital for our future, that are actual, like, we need to study this stuff. We need to have these numbers. These are the numbers that scientists learn from. You can only learn if you have the data to collect. And the way you collect that is mostly from satellites and satellite imagery and different spectrometers and laser measuring. I have talked to people at NASA that are like, their job description and the things that they're focusing on are mind-boggling. They're like, yeah, we could actually tell you the average height of every tree in the Amazon rainforest within 3 centimeters or something because of laser. It's unbelievable the stuff that they actually study and the amount of data they collect and how they comb through that data. And I think that's important stuff to know, regardless of your political leanings. I would really like that. So, yeah, it's true. NASA, of course, will make progress. That like Zoltan is saying in our Discord, NASA does make progress across presidential cycles, but it's beelining. It's like I said, it would have been great to keep Administrator Jim Bridenstine in there, but it sounds like he's stepping down. That's my long rant. Sorry, now you know all my thoughts. Film Scout, are you planning a video in the future about theoretical experimental rocket spacecraft tech, beam powered propulsion, the Albuquerque drive, or however you say that, Albuquerque drive? I don't actually love theoretical things. I like hardware. I don't even like talking about programs that are just on paper ever. I like to see things fly, see things blow up, see things. I just don't personally get that excited about that. Maybe in the future when we have some really good studies and really good data about some of the stuff, I'll consider doing a video about that. But I don't know. It just doesn't excite me that much, unfortunately. But there's some things. There's definitely some fringe, like nuclear thermal propulsion, which has never flown, but it's been, the hardware is done. I will absolutely be doing a video on that in the future. There's really, really good hardware been built for that. So, yeah. This is from Carl Lewis. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And from Arturo says, when I was a little kid, I got up every morning to see the shuttle launch. Got up every morning to see the shuttle launch. Now I get my 5-year-old daughter excited for SpaceX launches, and your channel really helps her interest in science and rockets. That's awesome. Thank you, Arturo, for tuning in with your daughter and getting the future generation excited about this stuff. I mean, the truth is, once you expose anyone to this stuff, they get excited. You can't not get excited when you see, a 20-story tall rocket launching and a 15-story booster falling from the sky and landing, or seeing humans get on top of that giant column of flames and ascend into the darkness of space and get into orbit and rendezvous with the International Space Station, which is a football field-sized laboratory going 10 times faster than a bullet. I mean, how can you just not be excited about that stuff? There's a lot of things to be excited about. People just need to be exposed and have the right amount of information to understand why it's cool, why it's exciting, why it's groundbreaking. That's what this channel is all about, is to provide that context, to tell those stories of how, a lot of people, I still get people that are like, your videos are so long, just cut to the point. I don't have a point in my videos other than to tell you all the cool things that I learn. My point is to keep you entertained and teach you as much as I possibly can with like little to no filler. The fillers in my videos are to provide context and tell you fun stories and little bits that tie to other, like, oh, they ended up doing this because in 1972, there's all these fun stories that I learn when I'm researching stuff, and that provides context and gives you a reason, in my opinion, to be more excited about stuff. So, yeah, how can you not be excited about that? Speaking of excitement, here's Jacko says, boom, hopefully not. Hopefully not. The good thing is about this whole program, guys, is Starship, the thing they're focusing on first and foremost is the cost of this vehicle and the production of it. By rapidly being able to ramp up production of a vehicle that's not even done real flights yet, allows them to be able to literally roll the next one out on the pad the next day, basically, and try again. So it's not this big, scary, this is our one shot. That's my fear with SLS. There is currently an SLS waiting to do its full green run, its full, basically a static fire. And it's been out of the pad all year. If that doesn't go well, it's really bad news. Really bad news. Like, probably detrimental at this point. Like, SLS, if it doesn't survive and get out to the pad at Kennedy Space Center for its actual flight, it probably will not fly. Starship, on the other hand, there's little to keep it. If it goes boom, whatever. They literally roll another one out the next day. Oh, yeah. So we'll see. Shannon Taylor says, have you seen the Rocket Lab version of Starship, Kiwi Starship? I have not seen a Rocket Lab version of Starship, but that sounds awesome. Anybody have any Discord? Do you guys have a link for me? I haven't seen. I mean, of course, they're working on landing recovering the first stage booster of the Electron rocket. So this is the block upgrade. They're going to be pulling a parachute. They've survived reentry without propulsive reentry on the Electron rocket. It is a very light fuselage, so it doesn't have a lot of mass behind it. It has a good enough beefy heat shield, and the engines are high enough temperature on the base of the rocket. They're just pointing it, making sure it stays engines first, and that they don't get a little bit, off angle from the wind stream where the side of the booster could end up touching plasma. So they're doing a lot of work for recovery, but I haven't seen anything that has anything really in the way of a Starship. But yeah, I don't. There isn't really any plans like that, but I think that'd be cool. Yeah, as the time bar says up there, it has scrubbed for now. We see no indication yet that they are resetting, but we will see. We're kind of waiting around here. I'm trying to get through you guys' questions here, and then I will likely just turn off the stream. From Darren, thanks for all your hard work. Love the latest SLS video. Thank you so much. Yeah, the Starship launch system. Thank you for watching, Darren. That really means a lot. It's Velocity. Where did you get those rocket models in the back? These are from buzzspacemodels.com. Ollie Braun, Buzz Space Models. Saturn V is the Lego Saturn V. Blue Origin sent me the New Glenn here and the New Shepard. Rocket Lab sent me the Rocket Lab. You cannot purchase Blue Origin or Rocket Lab ones. The ULA ones that you can buy at ULA store. That's where I got all those. Someday I'm going to have rocket models up in my store. I promise. New member. Thank you very much, Emo. I appreciate that. We're hearing some venting, some whooshing. Greg says, thank you, Greg. That's really nice. Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg. I will be using that for a solution that we're coming up with today, by the way. I'm really excited about some of the stuff we're going to be able to do for serial number 8. It should be crazy. I can't wait. That'll go in the secret thing that we're working on in the background. Fund. Ben D. Frost is gone from the nose cone. Also love your work. Yeah, it is. Thank you. It is definitely fully detanked at this point. So we might even see vehicles heading back to the pad. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, pad is still closed though. So we'll see if vehicles. Yeah. All right, Natacat19 says, my birthday today, so I thought this might be a good candle. Natacat, I really hope so, for all of our sake, for your sake, for SpaceX's sake, for those of us watching. We really do hope to see a static fire today. So it's a gorgeous night. I think they have until 8 o'clock again. Is it 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Central? I don't quite remember. But, yeah, we will see. All right, from Bailey McDonald. I'm a technician at SpaceX on Dragon. Some of the parts I work on are being launched on Crew 1 on Saturday. Love your coverage of Starship so far. Well, thank you so much, Bailey, and thank you for working on Dragon and working at SpaceX on the stuff that is literally moving humans into the future. Yeah, thank you so much, Bailey. That really means a lot to me. It's a huge honor that employees at SpaceX are tuned into some of the stuff along with us too. I'm glad that you guys are excited. I'm glad that the people in the aerospace industry are feeling this excitement of the weight of what's actually happening. That this is truly a moment to have some pause and actually be excited about the future. And thank you for saying hi, and thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Jeremy says, for the Tim to New Zealand in 45 minutes fund. Now that I will take. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I really appreciate that. This is from the Anonymous Freak saying, the problem with point-to-point is that it'll have to be an hour by fast boat offshore. It simply can't be launched from closest cities. This is true. There will be, I don't think it'll be an off boat. I think they'll do a boring company. They could do a Hyperloop or some kind of, if it's, say, 30 kilometers offshore, if it's a Hyperloop, even if it's a Tesla Hyperloop, like they're doing at Las Vegas Convention Center right now, where they have it's just going to be Teslas only, but they're just single lanes or on autopilot. They can go, we'll say 100 mile an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. You can get out there really quick. So you can get far enough away from the big city to be able to really, get out there really quickly, do your loading procedure and stuff like that. They could actually have a loop system that gets you to and from very quickly. I think that's actually a real possibility in the future. Corpse hatch fan innocence tube. An abort is better than a boom. Some guy named Tim. Close. It's scrubs are cheaper than booms. That's the Tim saying. Thank you very much, innocence tube. Junkie 4 tube, is radiation an issue on Earth-to-Earth flights? No. Definitely not any higher dosage of radiation pretty much than we experience on a daily basis. You're still actually within the Earth's protective magnetosphere. You're within the Van Allen radiation belts. You're within a lot of you're basically still within a decent amount of our atmosphere altogether, even though you're totally outside of the stratosphere and stuff like that. For a suborbital flight, and you're only experiencing 30 minutes. Yes, like airplanes, even a jetliner, jet pilots do receive higher radiation than the average person because they're up above most of the mesosphere or whatever. I'm forgetting right now. I'm blanking. But when they're spending 12 hours in a cockpit for 30 years, or something like 12 hours a day for 30 years, yes, they experience higher doses of average radiation per day. Average person, first off, there won't be a crew likely doing too much stuff on these vehicles, but I don't think it's going to be any real issue. Stainless steel is actually I don't think it'll be that bad. We'll just say that. I don't have any hard numbers on any of that. I don't have any true sense to really give you a definitive answer, but I really don't think it'll be too much of a consideration for general use. Thomas, Onfang says, Starship's internal volume is about the same as the ISS. How do they plan to fit 100 people on a Mars mission if the ISS couldn't possibly hold 100 people? I asked NASA Spaceflight as well. That's a great question, Thomas. I will give you my best answer. So the International Space Station has a lot of pressurized volume, but a lot of that pressurized volume is taken up by instrumentation and by other things. It's a cluttery mess of a space station. It's just pieced together, a smorgasbord of a space station. Starship's volume is all contiguous. It's all one giant cylinder, and it's almost 1,000 cubic meters of volume. That's more volume than a 747. A 747 holds about 400 people, right? For 12, 14-hour flights, right? So now make it so it's, 25% as full as a 747. You can rotate crew quarters and sleeping quarters and stuff like that. And then the other part of this equation is I don't think the 9-meter wide Starship will ever send 100 people to Mars. They will scale it up before they send 100 people. I think a 9-meter wide Starship could send a dozen people to Mars, 24 people to Mars for the first couple trips. But by the time we're really talking about 100 people, it'll be back to that 12 or 18-meter Starship. There's no reason that Starship can't be scaled up once it's flying. The only reason they're flying at 9 meters for now is because it's just kind of a good compromise of capability, price, the amount of Raptors needed. That's the cool thing is you can scale up Starship and just literally in the most Kerbal Space Program way, they can increase the diameter and literally just add more Raptors. I mean, obviously there's going to be thrust puck changes and all these different changes to the design, but the heart of the vehicle scales. You just add more Raptors. The heart of the design with the aerodynamic features and everything scales. You just scale it. And for now, this is a good compromise between it's huge and wild and wacky, but it can just scale from here. So I don't think we'll ever see 100 people going to Mars on a 9-meter Starship is my answer. But for 100 people going cross-country, 400 people going cross-country even on Starship should be absolutely no problem. William Ritchie says, hey, any updates on merch for us guys over here in Scotland? We are still working on the back end of the website. It really sucks that I don't have a true dedicated team to do that. So it's kind of stuff that I have to do in the background along with 2 other guys that have other things that they're working on. We are working on a website flip, a whole website flip and a store flip. We're working on a lot of things in the background of day-to-day stuff. And once you see the new website, the new web store, that will have updates for European and international shipping for the website. So the web store. So stay tuned, my friends. Stay tuned. One Beat Short says Tuna Piano Service in Des Moines. That's a great name for a piano tuning service. Tuna Piano. Wow. Wow. That's life-changing. I should have called them. I will exclusively call them for all of my piano needs from now on. Chris Harris. Another $2 to send Tim to Mars. Chris, you're going to... I can't deal with you sometimes, Chris. Thank you, though. Jeremy says, for the Send a Piano to Europa and Titan Fund. Yes. Now, that would be crazy. Can you imagine sending a piano to a piano to anywhere in space? Once you have the kind of payload capacity that we're talking about, 150 metric tons plus to low Earth orbit, sure, stick a piano in there. Who cares? Plenty of payload mass. Michael Gill, thank you so much. This is from Comic Sans Green Kirby. Is it actually scrubbed? The bar at the top says so, but you also said they might be trying again today. As of right now, I mean, that attempt scrubbed. We don't have any information or any knowledge of whether or not they're retrying. I'm just trying to get through your comments here so we can shut the stream down. And then we'll see. Let's see here. This is from Noisy691. Noisy, you must be new here, my friend. There's a video on the internet by a certain person named Everyday Astronaut that knows the exact answer to what about carbon footprint, Starship versus planes. Well, guess what, my friend? I made a video all about this. It's called How Much Do Rockets Pollute? Or how bad are rockets for just about everything, really. Here's the total emissions of everything that comes out of different rockets. Here's the total emissions of every rocket, blah, blah, blah. I've got you covered. Just read through this or watch the video. Troposphere. That's what I was thinking earlier, by the way. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. There we go. Okay, so then rockets versus airliners. By the way, this is to scale. This is how big Starship will be compared to a 747. That is to scale, my friends. Whew, that is crazy to think about. All right, so here's our CO2 output of different rockets and a 747. And here's the CO2 emissions per passenger of point to point. So this just Starship only, because don't forget, point to point will just be Starship. It won't be on the booster. And it can hold, I estimate, about 400 people on a 9-meter wide Starship, which would give you 1.79 metric tons of CO2 per passenger for a Starship to Starship point to point. That's over twice as bad as a 747. So it's not great, but the good thing is you can be carbon neutral by recapturing using the Spadre process to pull carbon dioxide out of the air and turn it back into methane. So that's awesome. That's good news. But when you really scale it out, the whole thing here, there's 331,579 times more flights than there are rocket launches. So it would take, so in other words, it would actually take, so here's the airline, how much CO2 the airline industry currently creates is 91 million? No, 9,180,000,000, whatever, that amount of things. Well, I should put commas in there. Why didn't I put commas in there? That hurts my brain. There's, in other words, the spaceflight industry currently has 22, or the spaceflight industry is, or the airline industry is 40,300 times more CO2 emissions than the spaceflight industry. So you'd have to launch 4,594,200 rocket launches a year, which is 12,000 rockets a day to equal that of airplanes, which equals about 937 Starship/Super Heavy launches, or 3,500 Starship-only launches a day just to equal the current output of planes. That's not even talking about the when you actually start extracting CO2 and having a carbon neutral version, you need to launch 3,500 Starship point-to-point launches a day to equal that of airline travel. Commercial airline travel only. Commercial, yeah, we have 918 million. Thank you, guys. I couldn't read those numbers because I'm dumb. But yeah, that's basically where we're at. It is obviously a consideration. We want to be looking at the emissions of vehicles and knowing what their effect is on our planet. We need to continue to study that. We need to be mindful and try and make improvements. And frankly, Starship without the Spadre process and recapturing carbon is not an improvement over anything else, but it can be negated and offset using basically renewable fuels and renewable energy to produce those fuels with the Spadre process. So it can offset and it can be better in some ways. And then just it's a really interesting topic. Definitely watch the video. Brian Clausen, afternoon, Tim. I think you should track how many people are giving to get you to Mars. I don't want to. I am nervous that if I actually start really considering that, it'll end up being hundreds of people that want to send me to Mars against my will. What's that say about me, and what's that say about my fans? What are you guys trying to tell me? How much are you guys trying to tell me? Olavi says, from Estonia, awesome. Why won't Elon just mass produce a bunch of cheap satellites and send them to every planet? Well, different satellites need different things. The satellites you'd send out to Saturn get a lot less sunlight, because every time you double your distance away from an object, from an object of light, you get 1/4 the amount of sunlight. It's the square inverse law. So if you send something out to Saturn, we'll say, it needs like 10 times more solar panels. It might need higher radiation vault to be able to fly that close to Saturn or Jupiter or something. There's a lot of considerations for particular planets that aren't necessary on other planets. So by the time, mass producing of some parts is okay, but just mass producing satellites and just willy-nilly flying them everywhere just doesn't make as much sense. It's a lot more, it's like trying to use a sledgehammer when you could be using like a tweezer or something. It's not quite, it might not be the right approach, but it might also be an okay approach for some things. Music collaboration when? I'll give you guys a real quick little snippet of something here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this or not. I think you will. But this is a little collaboration that I'm working on with a certain group that you guys might be familiar with. Those of you that have watched a SpaceX stream, I will give you guys 20 seconds of a musical collaboration with Test Shot Starfish. This is just a little teaser. There's your teaser. I'm excited for that. I don't know when that's going to come out, but that's a little teaser. I'm really excited to collaborate with Test Shot Starfish. It's gonna be super cool. Sorry if that was low. I don't really have a way to turn it up from there because it's not mastered or anything. So it's coming in at like -12 dB. Sorry about that, guys. But that's gonna be a little collaboration going here soon, and I'm really, really excited for it. So. And I forgot to put that up there from Pinochet. So there you go. There's your little teaser, but I don't know release date. No idea. I'll let you guys know. Be sure you're following on Twitter if you want to know when that collaboration drops. No idea. I can't give you guys times. I can't give you times on when I'm leaving for Texas, let alone when something that's like that. I'm guessing in a month or so. I have no idea. Maybe 2 months. Maybe, hopefully by the end of the year, that will drop and you'll be able to listen to it on iTunes and Spotify and stuff. Jacob, hi Tim. Have you thought of playing Microsoft Flight Simulator if they were to add spacecraft? I want to play it anyway, period. I used to play Microsoft Flight Simulator all the time as a kid. That was like one of my absolute, that and SimCity were some of my favorite games on StarCraft. I really like StarCraft too. I'd play those games a ton as a kid. I am very tempted to build a computer just for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Like it's really calling to me. But I just don't know when I'd find time. But I would 100%, if they add spacecraft, I'm in. I'm in tomorrow. I'm in now. Peter, I love space. Well, guess what? I think you're in the right place because I'm pretty sure everybody here is also loves space too. So thank you for saying hi. Absolutely. George Rays, thank you so much for your tip. I really appreciate that. And look at your little minion there. Christopher Brown Floyd says, when you interview Elon, don't forget to ask about interplanetary Starlink. Yeah, that's actually, he's kind of talked about that. It's really not that crazy of a thing. I mean, they can pretty much use, I will try to get some info about doing that. Here's the only thing here. The only caveat when people are asking me to, hey, ask Elon this or this or this. If you ever ask Elon, hey, could you do insert something? Could you do something X in the future? His answer will be, sure, why not? Like, that's his default answer to something, unless it's like a bad idea. But if it's like one of those things that's on the table, that's an obvious thing, like, oh, how are you going to communicate with Mars? Do you need some kind of Starlink thing? How do they? He goes, well, someday we'll just send Starlink satellites to Mars. You know, and he won't really be able to give you any more information because they aren't to that point yet. There's a lot, you know, when people say, like, could you do ion drives on Starship? It's like, yeah, sure, we could someday. We might someday. You know, but we're not to that point yet. He's working on this part of Starship right now. You know, him and the team are working on literally just getting the landing portion of the upper stage ready. Anything beyond that is just going to be yeah, sure, probably. You know, so I'll try to see if there's any concrete. I have a lot of questions that I want to get answered about Starship, but if there's anything that it comes to interplanetary stuff, I will ask him about that with Starlink, because I think there are some things, but I don't think it's that complicated of a thing, honestly. Jeremy says, your enthusiasm about our future is contagious. Thank you. Well, or Jerry, I said Jeremy. Thank you very much, Jerry. You know, I don't think it really shouldn't be too hard, frankly. There's a lot of things to look forward to. For a lot of things, like not just space flight. I know that 2020 has been really hard and really divisive and hard to live with and everything. But yeah, there's way too much stuff to look forward to. There's technologies that I'm so excited for that are so right around the corner. Even I know that I don't want to sound like some kind of hippity-dippity. I love driving a Tesla. I know that's like kind of a no-brainer, I feel like, but there is something so satisfying knowing that once I get solar panels, and once if I live in Iowa where we have some of the highest outputs of wind power, knowing that like literally the wind and the freaking sun are driving my car that's really fast, like a really fast car, a great car to drive, that it's just free. There's just solar and it's just driving on the freaking sun, like actual energy independence, individual energy independence is really... It really gets it kind of clicks. Like once I started realizing, okay, a lot of this stuff is still expensive. Teslas are still expensive. Solar panels are pretty darn expensive. But they're getting to the point where we're hitting this convergence of like, you'll be losing money if you don't have solar panels on your roof. Like people will be paying you to put solar panels on your roof. I think that's something that I think people need to start thinking about. Is like we're getting to that point where it'll be so cheap to produce solar and manufacture and have solar installed that it will pay itself off almost immediately or within 5 or 10 year ROI, and then it's just literally paying you money to be there. And that's exciting to me. That really is exciting. That's like we're solving problems. And even if there's people out there that still don't believe the large scientific consensus that there is an issue with too much carbon in our atmosphere that is warming up our planet prematurely, and it is caused by human beings, even if you aren't excited about solar and you think, oh, you don't even need it, like that's still better. I don't care what you say. That's awesome to me. Like I think having solar panels is the coolest. If that's cheaper and I'm making money because I bought something and it's literally like paying itself back in 10 years and now it's just providing free power and I'm selling power, like that's awesome. That's awesome. You can't tell me that's not exciting and cool. And then that your house could run on that, and then all the neighbors' houses, we could have batteries to help offset when it's not sunny. And even unless you're in Philadelphia, it's always sunny. But other than that, like just the whole future is starting to line up, and it's starting to make a lot of sense. Like, oh, we can actually still have a really fun, exciting future, and we have the tools to solve the problems. The Australian giant super mega battery pack thing that's 10 gigawatts now or something, massive battery pack to help offset. One of the things, if you're driving around, you're seeing wind turbines that are stopped. You'll be like, why are half of these not even running? Are they trying to maintain them, or they're always breaking down? No, they're not always breaking down. They're overproducing. They're producing more power than the grid can take. That's why you often will see a windy day, half the solar or the wind turbines are going crazy and the other half are stopped. It's because there's too much power from those things. We need a way to add, to grab onto that power, and the answer for now is cheap lithium-ion batteries or some lithium derivative or some kind of, nickel cobalt or something like that. We have the answer to these things. It's brilliant. It's simple, and then all of a sudden, that's abundant. It's absolutely abundant, and to me, that just gets me excited. I don't know. Sorry, I just like problem solving. F. Thompson says, has SpaceX mentioned anything about what the crew would experience during their 3 to 6 month journey to Mars? Again, F. Thompson, when it comes to stuff like that, I don't really think they're quite that hashed out yet. They're really trying to solve the vehicle. And then I think they'll solve the other considerations, thermal, radiation, 0G considerations for 6 months. It's not that big of a deal. Small Stars made that awesome video about, artificial gravity on Starship on the journey to Mars. The answer, though, to me is it's not that necessary. Don't forget, Scott Kelly spent almost an entire year in 0G. And, yes, it's hard to recover from that. And there's days of really not being able to walk. So there might be, a crew that has been 6 months of 0G landing on Mars or that 38% gravity. They might be crawling around inside the spacecraft for a couple days, rehabilitating themselves. Working on regaining that muscle strength and fixing their inner ear stuff or whatever, all their balance considerations or whatever else there are. And then I just think it's not that big of a deal yet. When we're getting to hundreds of people going there, sure. Why don't we offset, but solve one problem at a time. Right now, there's so many things. Oh, there's a vent. That might even be like detanking of the helium tanks or the COPVs. Okay. Well, yeah. So anything like that when it comes to talking about, the journey to Mars, I just don't quite think we're there yet. I'm sure there's teams of people working on some of those considerations, but I just don't think they're solidified enough yet to be anything too serious yet. Tyler LeBlanc says, did you see the Officer of Inspector General is reviewing NASA's commercialization of low Earth orbit? I actually have not, Tyler. I better look into that. And I should probably... that is a full-blown double tank. Interesting. I didn't know there's that much fuel left in there. Did you see... Yeah, so I need to read up on that so I can talk about it on Our Ludicrous Future on Thursday probably. But... I need to read up on that. Whoa, look at all those birds. That's cool. Nature time. With Everyday Astronaut. Here you'll see the Western Pacific swallow forming its natural inheritance with a triple tribec of colostomy. So it's flying into its natural degree of 51 degrees north, 72 degrees south on a 31 degree heading. And in its background, the natural habitat of a double venting starship. Yeah, I know you guys are just here for nature. Nature Watch with Tim Dodd. This is Jorge or George watching from Manila in the Philippines. That's awesome. I love that people from all around the world are excited to see this stuff happen. And a fish just jumped. I mean, come on, guys. This is exciting. I know there's 8,800 people wanting to know what's going to happen today. I'm one of those. But we don't know, and it's awesome. We're here hanging out together. We're here just having fun, waiting to see what happens. I'm probably, as soon as I get through your guys' questions, I'm going to probably step back for a little bit and just let the stream run for a second until we get something figured out. But I hope Rachel and Jean have batteries. Let's find out. I'm going to say, what's the battery situation like? So Danny in our Discord and other people are still asking it's a 15-kilometer hop is the next big milestone after a couple. I'll give you guys the full rundown here of what I'm expecting to see happen and the approximate timeline with 100 asterisks of this is approximate because we really don't know. So here's the answer to that question. We're expecting to see at least 1 or 2 more static fires from this vehicle in the next coming days. They will likely do we're hearing that they might even do a 1 or 2 engine static fire, maybe both, because there's talk. People are starting to think that like they might use 1 engine to do the kick maneuver and 2 to do the landing, or vice versa, 2 to do the kick and 1 to do something like that. So they might have to do like a 1 engine static fire, 2 engine static fire. They still haven't done a 3 engine static fire with the entire vehicle stacked. So we might see up to 3 more static fires of this rocket. Likely some other days of testing with, all pressure and all the flaps moving and everything. And then basically, once those 3 things are done and maybe 4 or 5 days of extra testing, they'll actually get into trying to do the 15-kilometer hop. My guess on that, total guess is a week, at least a week. Let's see, it is, it is the 10th. I think we're at least a week at this point. Yeah. So that's my personal bet. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like, not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend around then. So hopefully it's plenty of time after Crew 1, because I want to cover Crew 1 here in the studio. That would be fantastic. If I could cover Crew 1 in studio, that'd be really good. I could provide better coverage there than trying to have some interim thing down in Texas. So that's why I'm not urgently heading off to Texas now. And also we're working on a bunch of other things here that are best done from here. So that's kind of the thing. Yeah. Oh, and for those of you asking about Discord, yes, we do have Discord available for Patreon members. If you want to join our awesome Discord community. Hi, guys. Hi, Discord. I love you guys. Who gets to hear way too much behind the scenes stuff. Head on over to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And hey, Discord. Yeah, that's awesome. So if you want to join Discord, that's awesome. You guys did the same GIF. That's great. Head on over to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And also, just in general, if you're looking for people to talk space with, if you like the chat or you like just asking questions and learning, or, having just a community, especially during times of quarantine and times of social isolation, yeah, Discord's been great. Discord's really been good for me personally, emotionally. And I think for a lot of people, it's been good community to go to. So yeah, I just love the community. And if you're wanting to learn more and or just hang out, you're at the right place. All right, Graham Barker, thank you so much. 1 beat short. Pad remains closed, not typical for a scrub. We'll see though. We'll see after that vent. If we see the pad opens back up and personnel heading back to the pad, I'm definitely going to shut the stream down. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you though. Graham Barker again. What's happening with the Starliner these days? Any updates? No. The last we heard was net January 4th, I believe. Starliner's Boeing's commercial crew vehicle that's going to be riding on a ULA Atlas V rocket. They had the test last December. I believe it was December, either 21st or 28th, something like that, or 15th or 18th, something like that. Last December 2019, they launched OFT-1, the Orbital Flight Test 1 of the Boeing Starliner spacecraft. It did not go as planned. It did not make it into its planned exact orbit and had problems getting into the exact orbit that it was trying to do to rendezvous with the International Space Station. It was basically ULA knocked it out of the park, got the spacecraft right where it needed to be. As soon as it let go, the spacecraft thought it was like 30 or 40 minutes elapsed into the future of the mission, started doing maneuvers that it wasn't supposed to be doing. Then they also had a problem right before reentry, about 2 hours. They caught an issue that would have made it so the trunk would have potentially ran back into the heat shield after jettisoning. They fixed that. We're hoping that this whole thing gets figured out here and they get flying soon. But it sounds like January 4th is the latest that I know. And that will still be uncrewed flight test. And then hopefully from there on, we'll see the CFT, the crew flight test 1, which would, if it happens next, if the uncrewed happens in January, they might be able to do it June, July. So putting them only about a year behind SpaceX, But that's good. We need this redundancy. We want multiple vehicles for this program so that we have no commonality between programs. So if one has to stand down for a reason, they're riding a different rocket, the Atlas V. They're riding a different spacecraft, between the Dragon capsule. Yeah. There you go. All right, JC, membership. Thank you so much, JC. I appreciate that. This is from Tian Chen, says, Is the static fire for header tanks or main tanks? We think header tanks because they've filled up the header tank. You could even see a ring of frost up at the very tip of the rocket, which is where the oxygen header tank is. And then the methane header tank is in between the main tanks of liquid methane and liquid oxygen. We should probably have our graphic up for that. That'd be kind of cool. I should look and see if I have that stuff. Let's see here. Videos. Let's find the Starship video. Somewhere I've got like really cool renderings for you guys. You have it kind of empty, and that'll at least give you guys an idea. Maybe it's under common assets. Renderings, SpaceX. Yep, here we go. Starship. See-through. Andrew, which one is it? Starship something. This is from this is a Stanley render. Casper Stanley, not Stanley. Super cargo. Sorry, I'm trying to read and starship.png. I don't think that's gonna be the one we're looking for. I don't know. I'll look for it later. But yeah, I would love to show you guys a little cutaway. We'll have that in our next update that shows a cutaway and everything for you guys. Okay, so this is Rocky Whelan says, I'm actually 3D printing an Electron for myself right now as it happens. Keep up the great work. Can't wait for Crew 1. Absolutely, Rocky. Good luck with the 3D printed Electron. That sounds awesome. It sounds like, we still don't quite know if it's scrubbed. We're waiting to see if Crew heads back out to the pad or not. Thank you, Rocky. Hope that goes well. Rahan says, love your work. Love your work. Keep it up. 2 questions. Why do we not see GSE chilling during prop load? Any guesses on the total number of sensors on SN-8? Those are some good questions. So GSE venting is just so... another fish. I love seeing all these fish go crazy. There's... The GSE doesn't go up along the side of the rocket, so they do all the propellant load through the bottom of the rocket, and that's kind of unusual. Normally, when you see like a Falcon 9 or something, they have umbilicals plugged into each tank, basically from the umbilical on the side of like the transport erector or the strong back, the thing that holds onto the rocket. You normally see the umbilicals there, and then you see some stuff. But all of the 2 umbilicals are kind of basically up through the skirt, through the bottom of the rocket, which is how they'll fuel it with the super heavy booster. I didn't mention that in the video. That's kind of a fun fact. No, they will. That's one of the cool things is Starship, the upper stage of Starship will get fueled through the booster on the pad. And then, so they have umbilicals. Those same umbilicals, the same fuel ports are also how they'll do the in-fuel refueling of Starship 2 by having the 2 ports basically or whatever, dock butt-to-butt docking and then the refuel. So, yeah. And then number of sensors, hundreds, if not thousands of sensors. I mean, each engine probably has dozens and dozens. I would be surprised if an engine has less than 100, honestly. I would say probably hundreds, several hundreds. I don't exactly know, honestly. Oh. Looks like I'm hearing word that the tank farm is venting again, so they might be going for another attempt. All right, we will see. Rachel and Jean have a coffee maker on site. I love it. They are the true heroes. Everyone, again, say thank you. Hang on. Yeah, everyone say thank you to Rachel and Jean from Spadre Isle on Twitter. You guys know them as Spadre. They are the absolute heroes of this stream, making these shots possible. Oh yeah, we did lose that. We had a problem where we had our sync folder totally self-explode one day, and that was great. Thanks, Adobe. So we're gonna, I want to have it so it does say their handle there on screen. But yeah, just everyone say thank you to Rachel and Jean. They do a lot of hard work. They're out there all day, sometimes for these missions, kicking absolute butt. And yes, I can't wait to get down there and hang out with you guys. So yeah, we do have some new ground venting. All right, Andrew, I think we have to check off ground tank clouds. Looks like they are going for repressing. This is awesome. Peter Brem says, How do they intend to land without a landing pad on the moon? Won't this make a huge crater and dust plumes when it lands without a launch pad? Peter, you got to be watching my videos, man. We talk all about this in 2 videos now. In both of my latest videos, basically, the main ones, Starship, the lunar version of Starship, will have, here we go. I'm just going to throw this up for a little bit. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit just so in case something happens, we've got a better view of it. Boop de boop. All right. So here we go. This the lunar version here, the one with yellow, will have auxiliary landing thrusters. And those will be a lot lower thrust. They also will be higher up so that they can be diffused and so that it won't end up disturbing too much of the ground and creating a giant crater every time it lands and takes off. And those will probably be good enough until they do get a proper landing pad with like walls around it so they don't kick up too much lunar dust and lunar dirt, lunar regolith. These will help offset that and make it so they're a low enough thrust to weight ratio for the moon too. We don't know. They're going to be some kind of Raptor variant or hot gas variant or something similar to Raptor. I don't know what's going to be similar to Raptor, but one engineer did say they were kind of a family of Raptor engines, but I don't think it's going to be full flow or anything. But yeah. So that's how it'll do it. We'll have separate landing thrusters on there. Definitely watch my last 2 videos. We do talk about that a little bit in both of those videos. So yeah. And the lunar version won't ever return through Earth's atmosphere. So it can be a totally bespoke spacecraft that's just between the Earth-Moon system. That's going to be a lot of venting. There we go, my friends. I'm going to pop myself, without any kind of advertising here, a strawberry mango sparkling water, which will probably just make me burp a bunch. What am I thinking? Andreas says, would I travel to Mars? No, basically not until maybe once there's like a 18-meter Starship it's a full-blown cruise ship with 5,000 cubic meters of volume, and you're just hanging out and floating around in space. There's like space arcades and all this fun stuff, and going to Mars. As you get there, there's swimming pools and shopping places and good food and tacos and all. Like it needs to have something to go to. I'm not at all the type of person that just wants to go to Mars just to go to Mars or to get off this planet or anything like that. I want to go to Mars when there's its actual destination. Once there's a true destination for it, then I will go or consider going. Yeah, there we go. So that I don't really want to go. So it'll be at most, I'm guessing like 30 years before that's any kind of true possibility. So Shane Hansen says, "Hey Tim, what do you think would be an important thing to add to the future constitution of Mars?" Oh man. I definitely think some kind of direct democracy where I don't know what it'd be. I don't know. I'm not very good at politics or anything like that, but I think a constitution of Mars would want to have a more direct voice for the people of the citizens of Mars to be able to literally like this vote for this thing, like a direct, because that's the thing with politics is the people that represent the people, politicians. I don't want to assume that anyone's evil or anything, obviously. I really do think there's some really hardworking people. It's a job that has to be done because the average citizen, it's a full-time job to pay attention to all of the things that is happening, behind the scenes to run the world, basically. And it would be unrealistic to have every person trying to listen to all that stuff to make decisions. So you have to elect officials to make decisions for you, right? That is a simple tenet, a simple basic principle of how the world just needs to work. Otherwise, there'd be no one to cook us food or do farming or build our buildings or build our cars or roads and, write programs and fix the internet and all the stuff that people do for work, right? We wouldn't have time to do that. We'd all be like, oh, okay, so motion 3641 set C is actually, does the sidewalk need to end 15 inches or 16 inches from the curb? I don't want all of us to do direct democracy for everything, but I think having a direct democracy and not for some things is definitely something that I think we need for the Constitution of Mars. Other than that, I want the Constitution of Mars to include something along the lines of, free tacos for citizens on Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday is definitely in the Constitution of Mars. I think we need some kind of squirrel sanctuary on Mars because I don't think there's going to be many squirrels we'll have to take them. So Squirrel Watch, maybe Squirrel Watch Saturday, Taco Tuesday, Swimming Sunday. Well, we'll have to have some kind of pool, lazy, like a lazy river on Mars. So that can be Swimming Sunday, Taco Tuesday, Squirrel Saturday. Those are my those are my priorities for now. I'll let you know when I fill in more though. Alan Cruz Vargas Oyervides. Thank you very much, Alan. I had a very hard time just slaughtering your name, and I'm sorry if I offended you, but thank you so much for your tip. This is from Stefan says, do you have any news or rumors regarding the Lunar Gateway? I read that the launch should take place in 2024, but that seems quite unlikely. Gateway is one of those things. I'd think Gateway will absolutely probably not survive the administration change. That's probably the first thing on the chopping block, because honestly, it seems incredibly unnecessary to me. I don't see a reason why we need the Gateway. If the funniest thing to me is if in the current plans of Artemis, the idea would be to dock the lunar lander up to Gateway, have the Orion capsule meet it there. At some point, there would be the potential that you'd dock the lunar lander, which could be 1,000 cubic meter volume Starship, docking to a space station that's like 1/10 its size, and then docking something else arbitrarily to that. You might as well skip the Gateway in that step and just dock the two spacecraft. I don't know. I don't have any other rumors on Lunar Gateway. I'm not that wowed by it. I get the idea. For some architectures, it might make a lot of sense as like a reusable command module, as Jim Bridenstine put it. But it just doesn't really... I don't quite get it. Having it be in the near rectilinear halo orbit, I'm not sold on either. I would like to see some changes, actually, in Artemis to be more ambitious, frankly, and not so revolving around SLS's capability, because that's one of the reasons why we have the Gateway and near rectilinear halo orbit, is that's about all SLS can take Orion to. So, yeah, let's just skip that. Let's be more ambitious. Let's do that for the first couple missions if necessary. Do an SLS launch, Orion, do the human lander system, have a nice, simple, conservative, easy way to get to the moon, and then just start make it so that Artemis 4, Artemis 5, Artemis 6 are way more ambitious, require bigger rockets, and just knock it out of the park. That's my opinion. From Eminem, at the disco for the Dragonfly mission. Oh man, Eminem at the disco. For the Dragonfly mission. I'm really excited to see Dragonfly fly. That's going to be hard to say. For those of you who don't know, the Dragonfly is the alpha. Wait, what is... Oh, gosh, that was my speaker. Yeah, Dragonfly will be an awesome small sat launcher. Hang on. I'll show you guys. Oh, wait, Dragonfly. Okay, sorry. Oh, my gosh. I am blanking. Firefly is who I was thinking. I was thinking of Firefly. Dragonfly is a spacecraft that will be going to Titan. I did a whole video about that. I should have known. Sorry. Dragonfly, Firefly. I'm confused. Dragonfly will be the coolest mission ever. Like I said, I did a video about this a long time ago. It will be going to Titan. We were talking about Titan earlier. It's basically literally a quadcopter, a nuclear-powered quadcopter that's going to be flying around on Titan and studying it. And that will be one of the most incredible missions ever. Yes. Sorry for absolutely slaughtering that one. Glad I looked it up because I was like, Dragonfly doesn't sound right. Firefly Alpha. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. Aaron, would I ever tour... music in space, talking visuals? Yes, actually, Aaron, that was something I wanted to try to figure out this year, was actually doing a speaking tour. I even did think about making it some kind of doing like music to get everyone pumped up at the beginning or something, or music at the end or something, do a talk in the, I don't know. I don't quite have it all hashed out. I wanted to do that this year. COVID threw a huge wrench in that. Maybe do like 10 different cities in Europe, 10 different cities in the United States or something like that. See how that goes, and then in the future do New Zealand and Australia and Asia someday if it works okay. Maybe once a year do a couple dates like that where we can do some fun speaking tour, something fun that is something fun to do in person. And once we can safely come together without the risk of COVID, probably not even next year yet, but hopefully 2022. Absolutely, that is what I want to do. Tyler says, if I live on Mars and order off Amazon, does my package get delivered by Blue Origin or by Starship? That will be a long time, but yeah, that is fun to actually think about. It really depends. It really depends. That's going to be crazy. By the way, yeah, so I was starting to accidentally talk about Firefly. Let me show you guys what I was talking about with Firefly. So Firefly Aerospace is this company, and they have what we're now starting to call the mini SLS, because it does look the thrust bottom, like the actual thrust puck does look a lot like a miniature SLS rocket. But that is a cool vehicle in my opinion. It's a little bit bigger, a little more powerful than Electron, the Rocket Lab's Electron rocket, but it's in that same small sat launcher. If I remember, it's like 1,000 kilograms or something to like a metric ton to low Earth orbit. So that'll be a fun vehicle to see fly. They're really right now for small sat launchers, Astra, Firefly, and Virgin Orbit are really the only ones that I've seen a lot of real hardware out there for. There's obviously been talk from like Relativity with some hardware and stuff. There's some other vehicles, but really I think the race is on. The next one to fly and fly successfully next one after Rocket Lab. I'm considering Rocket Lab kind of the first of the commercial small sat launchers. I think there's only about room for 2 or 3 of these companies. So it really is a race to be the first and to start flying customers to survive. Because soon, I don't think there's room for 5, 6, 7, 10 small sat launchers. I just don't think there is. Oh yeah, Casper does have a good render here of the size difference between these two. I'll pull this up here real quick. Casper Stanley. What isn't he doing? So here's a scale size difference of these two rockets. That's the... oh, I'm hearing venting. Is that from the rocket? There we go. Yep, rocket venting. Go ahead and click that, my friend. Rocket venting. But yeah, this is the size difference between the Electron and Firefly Alpha. It's quite a bit bigger. Not that size matters, of course. Flying matters. But just kind of fun to see the scale difference. It is quite a bit bigger. But then again, don't forget that, the Electron is tiny. Very small, but one of my absolute favorite rockets. Super, super cool. Okay, so if that was that, we probably have a new time. We're about 30. So, oh gosh, so help me here. 17. It is, so about 30 minutes from now, so that'd be 6:15, which would be 18:15. Update. Okay, let's see how I did. Rocket seems to vent about 30 minutes ahead of time, so. I love these animal sounds. This is fantastic. I love this. That is the weirdest sounding bird. By the way, we have the biggest, I need to send you guys a picture. We have the biggest blimp over our microphone. We upgraded mics. We got this really nice mic for you guys. A nice shotgun mic. Or condenser. I don't remember what it is. Andrew, tell me. And then a big old fat blimp that goes around it with a giant windscreen and a giant like furry windscreen to prevent wind noise so that we get really, really clean audio for you guys. And it is awesome. It is paying off. I love it. I think it's super cool. I love hearing the sounds from out there. It feels like we're there. Yeah, you're right. It was the MKE 600 shotgun. Yep. A good mic. Roberto says, how much payload weight can they send to the moon with none or only one fueling without refueling? It actually will take about 2 refuels to get Starship to the moon, period. And then about 3 refuels, I think 3 or 4 refuels gets it pretty much to be able to do 150 metric tons. Without refueling, it can only get barely beyond low Earth orbit, or a geostationary transfer orbit. So if you were to do like a directed geostationary orbit, it would require refueling for that. If you were to do, did you guys see that bird just catch that fish? Nature. But yeah, if what was I saying? I got so distracted. I have the worst ADD. Yeah, so in order to get out to like beyond geostationary transfer orbit, you have to start doing refueling at that point, because you can only send 21 tons to geostationary transfer orbit. Refuel it once, they can send 150 tons to geostationary transfer orbit. Refuel it a couple times. After that, 3 or 4, maybe 5 times, I think you can pretty much get 150 tons to a translunar injection. And then I think it takes I think it takes 5 or 6 to actually have enough delta V to take 150 or 100 metric tons basically to the surface of the moon. So yeah, that's so in other words, it cannot send any payload to the moon without any refueling. None. Do we not have it on stereo? Hey Andrew, it's coming in stereo, by the way. It's just that there's not as much action to the right. Well, let me double check my properties here to make sure that we don't have it like panned left or anything. One quick second here. Live view is panned normal. Okay. I mean, I could make it mono. I could down select it to mono. It's not fully left-sided. Into the right side. I'm guessing the wind is just from the left, and most of the action is from the left. I think the stuff from the right looks to be about 10 decibels quieter on average, but I'm guessing the wind is from the west. Or from the east, I mean. Oh, the right is just static. Okay, well, in that case... Let me crank my right speaker quick with my toe and just listen in. Well, maybe that I feel like we have the worst luck with our cables. We've tried like 3 different cables now or something. Jerry says, I don't want you to go to Mars. You have too much value here. Well, thank you, Jerry. Guys, Jerry's probably would be a great person to be in a relationship with because Jerry listens. Be like Jerry. Jerry listens to someone's requests and then says, you know what, Tim? I hear you. You don't want to go to Mars, at least not today or right now. I don't want to send you to Mars. Thank you, Jerry. Be like Jerry, everybody. Be like Jerry 2020. Freddie Lewis, with the new larger Falcon fairing coming, could SpaceX use Falcon Heavy for Starlink launches? It really just, I don't think it makes sense to. I don't know. That's a good question because some of it is, there's still plenty of volume in the payload fairing as is for Starlinks. They might have a hard time stacking them beyond 30 tall, which is what they do because there's 2 pairs of 30. They might have a problem just getting beyond that. It might start to get more ridiculous as far as the compressive loads or something like that, or the adapter that releases them or something like that. I'm not convinced that there's any real reason to ever do Falcon Heavy launch. Although, of course, if you can say double your payload, double the amount of Starlinks, and only be throwing away the same amount of thing, and your only extra real cost is refurbishment and refuel of your first stages, because you're going to be throwing away the same amount of vehicle anyway. You're going to be throwing away the upper stage only for Falcon Heavy versus Falcon 9. Ooh, did they just turn on some nice bright lights? I think they did. Oh, by the way, I think we're actually, I might be a little, I put the wrong time in. I think we're closer than that because we're seeing the rocket venting pretty heavily now, about 2 minutes ago. I forgot to say that. All right, so yeah. So I think we're within 15 minutes for sure. I moved the clock. So yeah, I don't know if there is a real reason to use Falcon Heavy for Starlink missions. And I think if there would be, we would definitely be seeing that by now, but we'll see. The future will tell us. I'm real quick going to send a tweet out that we're probably about away from another static fire attempt of Starship SN-8. Come join. Boom. Blasting that on Twitter. And I'm going to let Discord know too. Sorry, 1 second. All right, there we go. Red Fox says, question to ask Elon next chance. Are there any plans to use cargo Starship to return payloads to Earth like Shuttle did a few times in the 80s? Definitely, that's something that I want to know more about, but that's one of those things that his answer to that will be, of course. Like, sure. Yeah, I could see that because it is within the realm of possibilities. I don't know if there's concrete plans yet to have robotic arms, that are designed out yet or anything like that. Those are the things that will be answered once they get further along, I think, in this. So, yeah, we'll see hopefully relatively soon. Once, they got to prove this thing. They got to prove that they can land it, the upper stage. They got to prove that it's viable in that sense. And they got to scale it up. Scale up and make a super heavy booster, which they're working on. They got to get it to orbit. They have to prove a lot of things out before I think they get into the fine details of cargo, of down mass, they would call it, bringing things back down from space. But I think it's absolutely within the realm of possibilities of Starship. The only problem is, say, like something like the Hubble Space Telescope. Let's say you want to bring Hubble back down, which would be awesome. That would be the ultimate mission, would be bringing that back down safely. It probably wasn't designed for like a 3G flipping maneuver, tail down, belly down type of thing. So it might break a little bit on reentry or something, but I would still love to see, like, you might as well. If it's end of mission and it's just, why not? I would love to see that. That'd be a great one to see come back in. So, from Jacob Theobald says, talking about the Mars trip, why do you always see in movies the spaceship that has the gravity pod? Why don't any of the space shuttles have that? The gravity pod, as in, like, in movies, you see this big, giant, like, rotating cylinder that's an artificial gravity. The reason for that is it takes a big cylinder. Really, it has to be a large object in space rotating to be able to actually produce enough gravity for it to be, say even half G. The problem is it needs to be big because, sure, you can create a full G of gravity by spinning something relatively small, like the size of Starship. 9 meters wide, 30 feet wide. You could surely spin that up and you'd get a full G. The problem is your body's actually going to think you're falling because your inner ear is going to sense the difference between your head and your toes. So you'd get sick, really sick. You would end up really wanting to not have artificial gravity on. So it actually does have to scale. We have to get something big. It has to be something, if I remember right, it's something like 30 meter, or 30. There's some minimum diameter. It's something like 20 or 30 meters. In order to really safely produce 1G where you're not going to really get sick. You don't necessarily need 1G for artificial gravity. Half G would probably be better than no G. We don't know. We also don't have enough data about the linear correlate, if there's a linear correlation between gravity and like how good or bad it is for bone density and all of the things. So maybe say 30% gravity might be literally only like 5% worse than than 1G, or 100% gravity, as we'd say here on Earth, basically. There might be a non-direct correlation where it's like you could do half gravity and you'd be basically 97% as good as 1G of gravity. So we don't know the correlation there. We don't have enough data on that yet. And I say we as in science doesn't have those answers. So maybe something like a 20 meter wide thing producing half G would be plenty. Maybe even a 9 meter Starship spinning at a relatively slow thing and only giving you 0.1 G. That might be enough. I don't know. And slow enough that you don't get sick. But 100 meters, Andy Law says in Discord. 100 meters. So yeah, that's yeah. So there we go. Yeah, it has to be 100 meters, so you're basically in order to produce 1G without getting sick. So it needs to be a big vehicle. We just haven't ever put anything that big in space. That's why they don't have it on anything you've ever seen. Michael Moore, do Raptors have electric starter motors? No. Raptors are spin-started using helium. They literally just have helium inside COPVs. They fill those bottles. Then they just shoot highly compressed helium to start spinning the pumps. Once they're spinning, they do not use T-Tab like the Falcon 9. We talk about this in that video that I just came out with, the complete guide to Starship. They end up using, they do have electric spark ignition though. That's something that's unique. It's basically like an arc welder to actually begin the combustion process in the main chamber. So, and probably likely in the pre-burners too. There's probably spark plugs in there too. So that's something I do want to ask Elon about though, is the problem is it takes about 100,000 horsepower to spin up and run a Raptor engine. Now, you could probably do some kind of mixture of like bootstrapping, where you get the pump spinning using, say, 1,000 horsepower electric motor or something. And then from there, it can spin up a little bit more and a little bit more. And by the way, people said siren. What time was that siren? The siren's normally... I'm going to move the clock back because I think we were behind on the siren. Just a little bit. I'm going to move it back a minute to line up with the siren. Or better line up with siren. So yeah, maybe that's something that they could do for certain deep space variants or something where you don't, like if you're taking off on Mars, they might need to have an electric spin start so they're not having to have a helium bottle all the way out there. Someday there might be a version of Starship that has no COPVs. And that's something that I do want to talk about. Yeah. All right. So Thomas, thank you so much, Thomas Branch. I like what I do and I'm glad you guys do too. And I'm glad you guys are just here to hang out and learn and witness history and simultaneously witness history and the future at the same time. That's one of the things that I really like. Mr. Dot Paracharacter, thank you so much. Hey, you. That's me, the Paracharacter. You're welcome. Mr. Nick, NASA spaceflight is calling that there is a retry. Yeah, there definitely is. Sorry, I'm pretty behind here. There's definitely 100% a retry. Sebastian Porras, thank you so much. I'm trying to catch up for you guys. I'm sorry. Philip Moyer for the fish cam picture-in-picture fund. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Mr. Nick, when will SpaceX start secretly working on an Albuquerque drive? So that's one of those things. I like I said, I'm not as hypothetical things and theoretical ideas just don't excite me as much as hardware. And it's just hard. How do you get to that point of taking something totally theoretical and making hardware that you don't even know how that hardware is going to work yet? But I would love if they would. I mean, that'd do a lot of really big, awesome things, but we'll see. Han Solo. Wow. What an honor. Thank you, Han Solo. We got a new member from Jason Shen. I really appreciate that. This is from Jishong B says, good afternoon, Tim. Thanks for doing this. Could you share some information regarding Jim Bridenstine? It seems like he will leave NASA. We did talk about that a decent amount before, but just to kind of give you guys a quick overview, because we do have a handful more people. Jim will be stepping down from several reports saying that Jim will be stepping down. It is, to put that into context, don't forget that Jim is the first politician to actually be head of the NASA administrator. And he did, I just want to say, like, on the record, from my perspective, I think Jim Bridenstine was a phenomenal NASA administrator. I'm really sad that he would step down. I think he could do so much good by sticking around, or at least seeing if he could get the possibility of being the current administrator under the Biden administration. I would love that, because NASA is one of the hardest things for NASA. Every administration change, they get whiplash of steering and changing direction. Right as they're starting to get something going, a new president comes along and new administration and jerks them in a different direction. I would have loved if they kept the administrator on board. That really could do wonders to keep NASA focused and on a similar path. It might shift a little bit, but it won't be this big, jarring path that happens every 4 to 8 years. And yeah, I am really sad. He's a great guy, and I think he's done really good things for NASA, and I've been really impressed. I still would love if he would reconsider. And if he does, I would love to help raise some awareness to see if maybe the Biden administration would consider keeping him on as administrator. That would be monumental and bipartisan, and I would love to see that personally. Yeah. Cameron Jensen, do you think that Mars would try and declare independence just like America did? I haven't really thought about that much. Maybe. I mean, probably. They probably would be. I mean, they would be independent. Because there's already independence between countries on Earth. I don't see why this wouldn't be treated almost like another country with its own set of laws and everything. But that's a good question. Also, by the way, back to the Bridenstine comment, because I'm still seeing people talk about that. I will be talking about that tomorrow on or Thursday, I guess it comes out. On Friday, you'll hear a podcast of me talking about that. Every week, I do a podcast called Our Ludicrous Future. Find it on YouTube, find it on your podcast player, whatever. Or to go to olfpod.com if you can't spell ludicrous, because trust me, it's hard. olfpod.com and have a listen. I'll be talking about that a good amount on the show this week about Bridenstine stepping down. So, yeah. This is from Sasha. Direct democracy is exceedingly dangerous without strong Republican constitutional, small r and small c safeguards. Vote no on Mars Proposition 1. So this is well beyond my knowledge base. So I'll gladly step out of and say that I really don't have a good enough set of answers here when it comes to what type of democracy or what type of constitution we should have on Mars. Other than I'll take back everything I said about direct democracy because I don't even know enough to really have said anything other than Taco Tuesday, squirrel watching Saturday, and lazy pool Sunday. That's all that matters to me. That's in the Mars Constitution. Mark it here. You heard it for her first. That's all that matters. From OTAN, Alan Carr says, we have direct democracy in Brazil. Tell you what, that's not the problem. I mean, look who's in charge. So, yeah, okay. There we go. More. So, yeah, sorry, I'm just now catching up to that part. I'll probably not talk about that in the future because I just don't know enough about it. There you go. Hey, Everyday Astronaut. Thank you for your streams and all your videos. I'm learning a lot. What we're looking for now, guys, I'm going to kind of focus in here and just be watching. But what we're looking for now will be the vents at the very bottom, all those big condensation clouds. We'll see them vent a lot. They'll kind of shoot out right at about T-minus 1 or 2 or 3 seconds. And then I'm going to hit go now. And that will be that they're actually going for it. And we'll see the clock change. But I think we're within about a minute or two. Ish. Remember, our countdown clock, we don't have a published time. We don't know. We're just basing our clock on when we're seeing certain events on the rocket based on other prior events. So for now, we're just watching. Oh, I think we're literally within. I'm going to turn up the volume on the live view. And I'm going to listen in here with you guys. Come on, baby. And sorry if YouTube's being sad for you guys. We've actually not dropped a single frame here on my end. YouTube's had a problem with their ingest servers lately, it feels like. Refresh if you need to. We're definitely within a minute-ish. Just double checking that they're recording. We always want to have that high speed going. Notice you do see that ring of condensation at the very tip. We should probably look back and see when that exactly happened. Guys, don't say F yet. We don't know. No Fs in the chat yet. That's still, we don't see any signs of detanking. Remember, my countdown clock is a very rough estimate. This is still within 0 time, so don't worry yet. It's still, I mean, to me, I don't see any signs that they're detanking. Get ready. Again, this was, our countdown clock is just an estimate. I'm seeing extra vents, extra condensation, but no detanking. Here we go. Any second, I feel like. Any second. I really think we're close. It's still looking good. Our clock is just off, but come on, baby. Still no signs of detanking. My clock was just a little ahead. I'm sorry, guys. Again, they are just rough estimates. There we go. Whoa. Not sure what that was, guys. Really not sure what that was. I mean, the vehicle's still standing. That didn't look normal. That did not look normal. Let's do an instant replay here for you guys. I don't think we've ever seen something quite like that. Man, that was actually kind of crazy. Okay, I'm going to pull this up here on the little screen. I will make it so you can still see the big one. Don't worry. There we go. I'm going to make sure we have plenty of room here. Okay, well, let's take a look at this replay. Something, I mean, it could be as simple as like a, oh man, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I mean, that could be something as simple as something on the ground, you know, like a vehicle or a gas can or, I don't know. Something on the ground. The vehicle looks to be in good health. It's detanking now. I mean, that could be anything. That could be ground equipment. You know, we don't necessarily know. Let's not jump. And by the way, it wouldn't have been a Raptor. Like, that wouldn't be a Raptor engine exploding. You know, if it was a Raptor, don't forget those Raptors are up inside the skirt of the vehicle. If a Raptor engine explodes and it has particles flying upwards, there would not be a rocket there. There's a rocket in between that. You'd see giant holes. It just physically can't really do that. So that had to have propagated from the ground. And let's kind of take a look here at, yeah, looking at the, I'll go frame by frame here for you guys. I would definitely say it looks very much like it came from the ground. Oops. All right, frame by frame. Watch the angle. So the root of this appears to be very low. If this was from a Raptor, don't forget the Raptor engine is almost like level. The heart of it is level with kind of this, where the flame part is right now. You know, it's, so the sparks are coming up. I don't know. I don't know what that is, and that's okay. Hopefully we learn what that is. Like I said, that could be as simple as something on the ground going boomy. That could be a tank of something. I have no idea. I'm going to lower this replay, though, and just keep watching just to make sure. I mean, it does look a lot like that. Frankly, that looks a lot like concrete with rebar. You know, that looks like... It's not catastrophic because the vehicle is still there, so... By the way, the sound at the end, that's a pretty normal shutdown sound, that honking, that... That's fairly normal. Yeah, the goose sound. I'll call it the goose sound. We'll stay tuned in here. Make sure everything is okay. The Raptor. I think it's the Raptor honk. Just meet. Mike is sweet. Back to the Mars Direct Democracy. I will vote for the government to print everyone $1 billion, because then we'll all be rich. Exactly. Have I read the Red Mars trilogy? I have not. I should maybe look at putting that on my to listen to on the way down to Boca Chica. TC Mutt. Oh, wow, TC Mutt. Thank you. Watching Beastars anime and Everyday Astronaut. Both take me to amazing worlds. Seeing rockets launch represents the best in humanity, no matter what country or rockets. Shows what you can really do. It's so true. So true. Let me get through you guys' comments here. Tommaso says, Tom from London, UK here. What are my thoughts about Jim Bridenstine stepping down from the position of NASA admin? Sorry, yeah, we've answered that twice now. Hopefully you heard my answer earlier about Jim Bridenstine, and that suffices. But thank you very much, Tommaso. And again, I will have more thoughts about that, and more concrete and formed up thoughts. On Friday's Our Ludicrous Future show. So definitely have a listen. I just realized my face is quite amusing during this. Hang on. How do you hide like the static bar? Hang on. How do you get rid of, like, how do you go full screen? I got to do a screenshot of that. That is too funny. I did not realize how ridiculous I looked. I might not have been doing it right. Hold on. I do want to see this baby. There we go. Got a screenshot. That's funny. Okay. Will the wing flaps open last minute before launch, or will it be already open in the pre-launch check? The wing flaps, I think, will ascend. This is a question I don't necessarily know. The wing flaps, the ailerons, basically the flaps will open the whole. So I don't know if I think they're going to be open during ascent. I think they're going to be extended or outwards during ascent, and then flip, and then from there on they'll have to just kind of actively be, up and down. Hang on. So I think the launch on ascent extended, because if you notice that the top part isn't quite the most aerodynamically, doesn't look like the best aerodynamic surface for the front of a rocket right now when they're tucked in. They're kind of at this weird angle. It would be kind of offset on the dihedral axis. Like, it just seems like it's like a little bit, probably wouldn't be great. But we'll have to find out. I think we're hopefully only a week or so away from knowing about that. That's awesome. Tommaso says, also in your Starship vs. Falcon 9 video, I noticed some music that sounded new. Any chance of more music from me? I have more music coming out. That song that I added a song that was a little bit heavier one that I've never, I've had it out there for like 3 years, but it's not been on an album or anything. I need to just put it up, even if it's not mastered and stuff, because who cares? Oh, hang on. I got to copy this message. I got to open this and show you guys. My reaction there is pretty funny. I got to tweet this. Oh, that's good. That's funny. Whoopsies. I was genuinely concerned, that's for sure. That's funny. Oh, that's bad. I was actually worried. I had not seen anything quite like that happen before. Let's see here. And I'm gonna tweet real quick. I'm gonna let you guys hang out here. I feel like watching someone tweet is the most boring thing ever. I'll be right back, my friends. Find out what I'm gonna be tweeting coming up next. Okay, I hath tweeted. Well, again, the fact that it's just standing there still is a good sign. I think that's... it seems to be normal. I mean, I don't see any reason to think that it didn't go well. Maybe we'll find out that just a single or double or triple engine Raptor ended up just blowing out the concrete below it. Who knows? Tom Geelan says, could you stack starships in space like extra stages so you can go faster to Mars? It would add a lot of fuel. So you still kind of have to deal with the rocket equation. I mean, that's basically what they're doing. When they're going to be refueling Starship and doing it that way, you're basically stacking starships. You're pretty much... You can't do a typical... If you're trying to reuse everything, you can't have like a kick stage without expending it, right? So if you're trying to really reuse Starship and make it fully reusable and get stuff out to Mars as quick as possible, the best thing you can do is refuel a Starship so it's fully ready to go. You know, you're basically starting over at that point with a fully fueled one. There isn't really... Besides maybe... The other thing you could do is fully fuel it up, get it basically into the most elliptical orbit that it could be right before, you know, having another trans-injection orbit. And then, how would you do that? Stage 2 of them like that. Transfer the fuel from one to another. I mean, you could kind of... It just doesn't probably add that much sense. You might as well just make a bigger Starship. This is Paul from Norway. I'm now watching the Everyday Astronaut and NASA spaceflight in stereo. Please talk about SpaceX's Tesla stainless steel future partnership theories. Well, it's not too much of a theory. I asked Elon last year after Mark 1 prototype blew up if we could use scraps from Starships to become bits of special edition Tesla Cybertrucks. And he said, yeah. And then I've heard from some people that that's happening, that has happened, and that is something that, yeah. So I don't know what else to say other than I think that there's a collaboration already in the works. There's plenty of scraps of Starship prototypes, some flamier and sharper and more shrapnel-y than others, but there's definitely lots of spare bits of Starship that have been around. So I personally would love if I had a Cybertruck that had big scratch marks and was all totally dinged up because it had exploded in a star. Like, I would love bits of Sierra number 4 for my Starship. Yes, please. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, Andrew, we do need to put everything nominal. Let's go ahead and check that off because I think everything is nominal-ish. Yeah. I think it's nominal-ish. It's still standing and it seems to be fine. I think that was ground debris. Magnus, you got to convince Elon to combine Tesla and SpaceX merge store so shipping can come together. They can go together. That's not a bad idea. That's definitely not a bad idea. Oh, Scott Manley noticed that the sparks look like they're reflecting because they... That's interesting. Because they fade with the engine. Let's watch this thing again. I'm going to pull it up again. We're going to go frame by frame here. Kind of. Okay, so everything's normal. Everything's normal. Normal. Okay, then, so he's saying that basically they fade, which means they're not molten. Like they're being illuminated by the rocket engine, which we can theorize as soon as the engine cuts and there's no illumination, are they still glowing? So let's find out here. Once the engine cuts, are those little bits of debris going to be glowing or not? The answer, no. They're not glowing nearly as brightly. They do seem to be directly correlated to the illumination produced by the flame of the engine. Therefore, they're not molten. They're not radiating. They don't have their own heat. They are reflecting. That's good call, Scott Manley. Scott Manley's a smart guy. Yep, absolutely. They're definitely reflective and not producing their own light. So something went boomy on the ground and Starship's probably fine. with Everyday Astronaut. Randy says, a yellow dog. Thank you, Randy. Cameron Murphy, when Starship gets into orbit, how much propellant will be left in the upper stage tanks, if any? It depends on the payload mass. If it's taking its full payload, there'll be virtually none in the actual propellant tanks. There'll only be enough in the header tanks to basically deorbit and do that landing burn. But getting into orbit, that's the way this is all going to work, is it can take about 150 tons. If you strip it down to, say, 21 tons of payload, then there'd be 129 metric tons of fuel left over to be able to do something like a geostationary transfer orbit burn or something like that. So yeah, it just depends on how heavy the payload is and where it's going to be able to really answer that question correctly. It's variable. Renaud, how are you tonight? Hey, Renaud, by the way, hi. How are you tonight, Tim? I don't get why people want to send you to Mars. The transmission lag would make the best live streams impossible. It'd be like, I'd be live streaming like 40 minutes to an hour later. That'd be terrible. The reaction to things would be an hour freaking late. No, thank you. Good call, Renaud, and thank you for your support. Thanks for saying hi. David Poithier says, thanks for making space fun again with Elon's help, of course. Yeah, a lot of help from a lot of other people. I look forward to your live coverage of the 15-kilometer hop. Well, thank you. I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really, really, really fun stream. Really fun day. Here is some coffee money, or kafafi money. Today is my last day in the United States Air Force after 20 years of service. Glad to see a static fire to mark this day. See you on Discord. Chazzy, dude, I didn't realize that. Congrats on being able to retire from service the day before Veterans Day, too. It'll be a very special Veterans Day. So thank you very much, Chazzy, and congrats. And thank you. Danny Gilham, thanks for the stream. Tim, do we know any more about the lunar mock-up? Which seal number is getting the nose cone? That we don't know anything about. There's the full D-tank, my friends. There's the full D-tank. Okay. Sweet. There we go. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. So I don't know if that nose cone is getting any, we don't know anything about lunar mock-up. We don't know if that nose cone's going on anything. It might just be a crew quarter mock-up. It might go on something. I don't know any information about that. We really don't know anything other than they've painted a nose cone white to begin their mock-up process for the human landing system contract for Artemis. That's about all we know, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll learn more, though, soon. Jesse O, happy day 2 of stream if you're in the UK. I'm now 21. So good job and happy birthday, Jesse. Technically, then, you did get to see a very sparky-looking, extra spicy Starship static fire today. Yeah. That is awesome. Happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday to Jesse. That's awesome. This is from Rodrigo. Says, thanks for your enthusiasm, Tim, from Brazil. Awesome. Well, thank you, Rodrigo. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks for saying hi. John Wolf, is the mission with the Japanese billionaire and artist still going to happen, or did something change? Thank you, John. As far as, yes, Dear Moon is on track. Starship has to get developed and get flying, and then as soon as it's flying and operational, one of the first flights will be Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa's Dear Moon mission around the moon. It'll be a flight of at least a dozen people going out to the moon as his guests, which is incredible to think about. That is still one of the craziest things ever. Joseph Gates, Patreon for about a year. Great investment. What happened to the Delta IV NROL 44 flight? I haven't seen if it ever launched after all the aborts. It has not launched still. They have had many problems with their ground support system and the ground equipment. Some issues with a lot of different things, it seems like. We don't know all the details. They've been pretty quiet about it, and it's kind of been sad that they haven't been able to launch. We've all been expecting and waiting for them to launch, and yeah. Guys, I think maybe I should get Rachel and Gene out of here, and I'll just keep streaming for their safety, because it's already dark. I don't want them having to boat at night. they do boat to this location, so cool. As soon as they go down, as soon as their feed drops, I'm going to go ahead and go full screen on me, and I'll keep trying to answer guys' questions here, but I'm going to get out of here too. So, Joseph, unfortunately, we don't really have any new information about NROL 44, the Delta IV Heavy flight. Between that and then the Atlas V that scrubbed too, we're waiting. Hopefully they can get these missions off the ground. Yeah, Andrew, why don't you get the Pearl Cam up? That can be our backup while they're packing up. Ben Lonergan, how's it going, Ben? Hello, it's 12 at night for me. I got school tomorrow, but what's more important? This. Keep with the great content, man. It was my birthday yesterday. Lots of birthdays all of a sudden. Happy birthday to everybody. You guys must be Valentine's Day children. Sorry if you've never thought about that, but now you are. Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate that. And happy birthday-ness. Happy birthday yesterday. Mr. Nick again. Will SpaceX or governments govern Mars colonies? I don't think I know enough about the subject, honestly, to have much of an opinion. I don't know. It's kind of uncharted territory, honestly. So, I don't know. Yeah. Yester birthday. Sorry if I don't have a good answer on that, Mr. Nick. Ryan Martin. Cheapest artificial gravity for long trips would probably be to use cable linkage between starships spinning around each other for coasting phase after 1G boost. Thoughts? Yes, I do think that is a great option, is to have some kind of tether between two starships at a pretty... But don't forget, something that... Do remember, if you have a cable tied between two vehicles that have 100 plus ton dry mass and another 100 tons of cargo capability, and then another probably 50 tons or 100 tons of fuel, you're talking 300 metric tons on a cable if you're doing 1G. That's a lot of cable tension. I don't know a lot about cables, but that's probably not going to be a lightweight cable either. And then the supporting system to the attachment points and all that stuff. It's not as simple as it sounds. Otherwise, we'd have done that by now. But yeah, I think that's probably the most elegant solution without just having a giant, classic rotating giant thing. Sorry, Snow Doggo. I wasn't necessarily trying to bring up politics. I was trying to answer people's questions. You know me. I don't want to talk politics unless it has a direct correlation with spaceflight. I avoid politics and religion at all costs, but sometimes there are things that, in political in nature, that come up that are directly correlated and directly related to spaceflight. So in those cases, I will talk and share my opinions, but I'm glad to know that we're here to celebrate spaceflight and that we're here to talk about rockets and the future and get excited about, our presence amongst the stars, Rowan25, do you think SpaceX will create a larger version of Starship for future Mars missions? 100%. I said that a little bit earlier. Sorry if you missed it. We will definitely see 12 or 18 meter Starships, probably even before. I think the first Mars missions might be with a 9 meter Starship, but very soon, once it's proven to work out and once it's a proven system, I think it's no big deal to scale up Starship. It is all very scalable. They'll easily be able to go up to 12 or 18 meters. The Raptor engine, you can quite literally just add Raptors, essentially, to an existing architecture and upscale everything and keep going. And it'll scale. There's mass efficiency to scaling things as well. So it'll actually be higher performance. The performance will, I'm not saying that if you say double the diameter, you probably will more than double payload mass. I don't know. But yeah, 100% we will see bigger Starships in the future. Jean, thank you so much for the membership. I appreciate that. The Dying Titan, I think we just experienced engine-rich exhaust. I don't actually think so, but we'll find out. We will find out, hopefully. From Kaylee says, Tim, it could have been blowing off its ice layer. No, we've never actually seen anything like that before, Kaylee. It was pretty unique. There's not enough ice on the outside of this vehicle when it's only using its header tanks. When it's not full, there's not that much ice. And it didn't look like anything we've ever seen before through all the different static fires. So I do think I think they'll go out, when the pad's clear or something and see that something kind of got all spicy and got destroyed on the ground. It might be a big old patch of concrete that let loose or something like that. Hopefully it didn't bounce back. I don't think it would have bounced back up. but we'll see. Hopefully everything's okay. Everything looks to be fine. The rocket is still standing, no problem. Harry Game says it was probably the ground that got destroyed. I think I'm in that camp. Typewriters and tubas. I like that name. Maybe that was the case of an engine-rich exhaust. I don't know. I don't think so, guys. I think the engines are fine. Tyler, it could just be condensation breaking off. That's my guess. Again, I don't think it's ice. I think it's something. It seems to be from the ground. Eric Beavers, move her to the other test pad and let's go again. I think we'll find out that everything's going to be okay, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I wonder if it was some sort of blast mitigation suppressor since Elon doesn't want to use water. I don't think so. I don't think that was intentional. We haven't seen anything like that. People, don't forget, Mary's out there taking photos of the pad every day. We would see something if they were trying to add something like that to the vehicle or to the ground systems. Mary would have caught it. Patrick, could it be debris shooting of a Raptor and then bouncing off the ground? Again, I don't personally think so, but maybe. Jody, looks a bit like molten metal, but so yeah, again, we kind of proved that I don't think it's molten metal. It doesn't seem to have its own illumination, so it did seem to just be reflective. So I think it's not that. Paul from Norway says, the everyday astronaut and NASA spaceflight contact each other. NASA spaceflight needs better audio. I love you both. Well, they do things through Discord, though, so that's actually a limitation of Discord. I think a lot of them have access to decent mics, but Discord, that's how they're able to have multiple people talking on stream, is through Discord. So it kind of gets compressed in Discord. I think for me personally, it's fine. It's not as ideal as going, direct into your software, but... Oh, I didn't realize that all Marines consider this their own birthday. Cool. Again, happy birthday, Marines. I'm just reading that again. Yeah, awesome. Yes, Austin, I love this. Austin DeSisto, who, by the way, everyone say hi, Austin. Austin does help write a lot of the articles in our web crew. We have such an awesome web crew. I love you guys. We need a Raptor honk on a Tesla. Yes, we do that. That'd be amazing. I love that. This is from Matthew saying, could it be concrete breaking? That's what I think personally, something on the ground. Greg, I don't think sorry, I'm seeing a lot of these same comments. I don't think so. Again, we don't really have the answers, so these are speculations. Yeah. Any chance you'd help me build an instant replay system in your OBS? Maybe, but we're working on actually changing a lot of stuff over at this moment, so I don't know if it's something that I want to bake into something right now, but and I'm okay with our current picture-in-picture solution. It's not ideal, but it's good enough. Pedro Ortiz says it's parrot character doing a Shaka sign. Thank you so much to Pedro. Harley, I keep hearing about Starship refueling in space, but how do you get all the fuel up there? P.S. Please reply by 1 a.m. GMT. I got to work tomorrow. Hopefully I'm squeezing it in there. I don't know how we're doing. So in other words, if you're refueling another vehicle, you just don't have any additional payload. Your additional payload is fuel or is a lack of a payload. So you'll end up with about 150 tons of fuel instead of a payload on orbit. So, if you remove your payload, you end up with extra gas, or extra fuel as your payload, basically. That's pretty much exactly what it is. So they have to take and do full orbital missions with a Starship Super Heavy, but they just will have nothing inside them other than their fuel. And then they'll dock up to the one that is trying to do whatever, that has the payload. They'll give it their extra bit of fuel, and then they'll land. And then they'll just repeat and refuel a Starship until they're ready to go. Yeah. Super Cleary Photos says... Thanks for another great stream. My 5-year-old continues to be inspired. Really, though, he likes the explosions. Hopefully, we don't see too many more explosions for you guys. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I really appreciate that. And thanks for getting your family involved. This is what we need to help the next generation stay excited and stay motivated to make a big change and actually get humans deeper into space and back to the moon and onto Mars. Riggs, was the duration about right? It did seem like a normal duration. It seemed fine from what I can tell. Absolutely. Eric Beavers, wait, SpaceX has a merch store. 100% SpaceX has a merch store, of course. Yeah, I wear their shirts often. Tim Marsfront from Armin. Thank you, Armin. Oh, you guys. Brock, what is Elon like in person? Honestly, I mean, he's exactly what you see, like, in my interviews. The two that I've done with him, even off camera, I've only actually really interacted with him, like truly interacted with him twice, where it's in person, we're standing side by side. The only time off camera I've really had was at the last time for DM2. And I will say he was very focused at DM2. I've seen many, I've seen him around other events, been in the same room where, you see him interact. And it's not that he's, normally aloof or anything, but you can tell he was very focused on DM2. And yeah, I think, but other than that, I mean, he's exactly what you see on camera. He's nice and thoughtful and polite and professional, and what I like about him is you can tell he's sincerely excited about the work he's doing, whether it be Tesla, even the Boring Company, Neuralink, but especially SpaceX. You can tell when you get those gears turning and you start asking him questions of things that he personally cares about, or the things that he's working on, he lights up. He gets excited. I love that. That proves that he's doing what he wants to be doing, and it does show. He wears it on his sleeve. We see that same passion. I think Peter Beck, personally, from Rocket Lab, has that same passion. You can talk rockets with that guy all day, and he will chat your ear off. And Tory Bruno knows every inch of his rockets. These are people, and Elon's in that boat. Maybe even beyond other people. He is just at the extreme of he loves what he works on, and you can tell he's passionate about it. That's what I'd say he's like in person. He's really nice. Mr. Penguin, I'm writing a paper on spaceflight right now. Between you and Adam Savage, I've been a serious engineering nerd. Thanks for the birthday wishes and Semper Fi. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Penguin. That's awesome. V-Lord, why does Starship use those heavy flaps? They seem rather clumsy. Wouldn't something like grid fins be more controllable? So because it's re-entering, they're a mixture of... Okay, so if you're entering... So they're going to be entering broadside. They're going to use as much of the vehicle as possible to slow down, right? That way you have as much cross-section entering the wind. That way you can control your peak temperatures. You can also provide lift and control your total temperature and your peak temperature, your peak heating and your total heating, sorry, not temperature. If you're coming in like that, the grid fins would have to be far away to really be able to provide the right kind of control. Grid fins and grid fins would get probably too spicy. They'd have air flowing through them and not get compressed. That's the other part, is when the vehicle's flying at hypersonic speeds, there's going to be a boundary layer of air that's in between, like a bow shock in between, like the grid, what would normally be grid fins, and they wouldn't have very good control or almost any control at all at those speeds. These things can change the amount of pressure and the amount of pressure against the fuselage by basically, acting like a skydiver and changing the amount of drag. So grid fins control, again, watch that video, the most recent video, The Complete Guide to Starship. Grid fins control with the wind stream flying through the grids, right? The actual grids, each lattice structure. So like this, the wind is flowing through them, right? On either side. The wind is going parallel to each little lattice, right? If that makes any sense. This is different. The wind is flowing perpendicular to these control surfaces. They're totally different. People keep saying, oh, this is just like the flap of an airplane. No, the flap of an airplane is very different than this. The ailerons of an airplane are completely different. These are completely perpendicular to the wind stream. They literally are giant air brakes. And they're scaled to the size it takes that big of a thing to really control something like this and still be able to slow it down as much as possible. So the trade-off is to control maximum braking, lower terminal velocity, and then weight, right? So this is apparently the compromise they've come up with so far. All right, from now again. So hearing that Jim Bridenstine is stepping down as a big shop, hope it won't affect Artemis. I think it might a little bit. Like I said, I think the things on the chopping block to me for Artemis, I think Gateway would be one of the first things on the chopping block, personally. That just seems the least concrete, the least necessary for Return to the Moon. I hope Artemis keeps going. I really hope Artemis just chugs through. I hope that they focus on the next administrator says, okay, here's what we have written up. Here's what we have. Let's actually do better. Like let's fly the SLSs we have. Let's fly the Orion capsules we have on order. But then let's immediately get working on getting commercial replacements. And that'll be part 3 of SLS versus Starship, will be what commercial options are there that could replace SLS and Orion, and kind of give a pros cons list of all those different things. This is from Dennis. Any chance you'll be swinging through Austin to be on Rogan while in Texas? Is Joe Rogan in Texas? Or what's on Rogan? I don't know what on Rogan is. Anyone? I will be physically driving through Austin. I will not be doing any meetups or anything because of the horrendous pandemic that is literally out of control. I did not realize that Joe Rogan moved to Texas. Interesting. But yeah, I will not be doing any meetups or anything like that. As a matter of fact, the people that I will be interacting with, we are all... I've already taken a COVID test. I'll take another one now that it got pushed back. So I'll probably do that the day I'm leaving, just to make sure, because we will be sharing small, tight spaces with some people. So everyone on my team, I am having them COVID test. Yeah, and we will be self-isolating. So having big meetups and things like that and all that stuff just does not sound like a good idea to me. Does not seem smart. Marcus, SpaceX governing a colony makes them a government. That is absolutely true. See, this is why I'm done. I won't talk about politics anymore. 100%. Jordan, thank you so much. Mr. Nick, can you ask Elon what some of the most difficult problems were, what he worked on, and how he fixed them? That's actually one of the things that I want to... Yeah, that's absolutely something I do want to talk to him about. Gavin says, let's send Tim to space. Thank you so much. Sean says, I hope it wasn't the Robo-Dog that blew up. They do have one of those. Is it a Spot or Boston Dynamics? Yeah. One of those Boston Dynamics robots. I think it's Spot, or I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, I hope that didn't blow up. I really hope it wasn't there taking videos of the engine and it blew up. Jordan, Tim, what can you tell us about Virgin Galactic and their missions? So Virgin Galactic, there's Virgin Orbit. Virgin Galactic is currently only in the business of suborbital flights. So they have Spaceship 2, and that's a suborbital version that rides in the carrier plane, the White Knight 2, or White Knight. It flies up really high, to normal kind of commercial 35,000 feet or so, or 10,000 kilometers, or 10 kilometers in altitude or so. Let's go of the space plane, which it uses a hybrid rocket engine. So it's a solid rocket booster, but with an oxidizer that they can throttle, so they can actually turn off the motor if they need to. And it gets up to just shy of the Kármán line, actually, ironically. It's something more like 55 kilometers, or 55 miles, sorry. Something like 90 kilometers or so. Yeah, they're just riding. You get a ride you get waiting distance for 3 or 4 minutes or so. Yeah, that's kind of what they're doing, and it's just space tourism, just to be able to get you up out of the atmosphere, get a great view of the Earth, and experience weightlessness for a couple minutes, 3-4 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about it, realistically. From Milawa says, hi, Tim, more strange questions for you. Do you think we will see heavy Starship? Nope. Elon said many times no. And just to go on this is like three super heavy boosters together, like Falcon Heavy, for gigantic payloads. No. Elon said many times the best thing to do is scale it up, is to literally make a 12, 18 meter, 25 meter, 30 meter, however big Starship, just scale it up. Having multiple stages like that and those staging events just really is more complicated than it's worth. Falcon 9, and the reason they went with Falcon Heavy is because Falcon 9 is trying to fit inside that 12 meter diameter. 12 meters is how the maximum width you can transport something across the road in the United States without like road closures, without any really hard considerations. After that limit, it gets really hard to do cross-country travel of the cores. So in order to increase capacity, using their current manufacturing, using their current engines, using their current infrastructure, using their current transportation methods, Falcon Heavy made sense. You could increase capacity of the Falcon family by having the Heavy configuration with 2 extra cores. If you want to do that now with Starship, since you're building it all on site and launching it on site, basically, just scale the thing up. Make it bigger altogether and increase its payload. Yep. Brian Pittman, thank you so much for the membership. Manny Dib with the parrot character. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Phil G. Raptor, the big honking rocket. I do want to find out what that honk actually is. We've heard that quite a bit, actually. Renau says, meant to say, hope all the current programs won't be affected to look much with change in NASA administrator, unless for the better. I agree. I obviously hope that too. I think hopefully, it really seems like Jim did a phenomenal job of focusing NASA on some things and giving them a clear rally cry of where they want to head. And I hope the next administrator feels that same sense of direction and just wants to kind of keep things moving in that similar feel. So we'll see. Jody, I met Elon as I built and managed a party for him and Tallulah in the UK a few years ago. He was really nice. I also asked him to move his car. Oh, that would actually be kind of intimidating to be like, excuse me. Sorry, Elon. I know you're busy, but you got to move that car, man. That's awesome, Jody. Oh, just like I had to be like, hey, by the way, you stole a microphone in my first interview with him, and that was funny. So he's just a normal person, though. That's what people forget. I think people, put people up on a pedestal when that's the last thing that I think someone like Elon wants. That's the last thing that any like famous person, any, super movie star or famous musician, they don't want to be treated differently. They want to be just a normal person. Unfortunately, when you get to that level of fame and success and wealth, you do get treated very differently. But I think, frankly, Elon's the type of person that just wants to do the things that he loves and live life. Period. That's the sense I get from him. So he probably actually appreciated that. You're just like, hey man, move your car. That's awesome. The Justin Kelsey says Democrats want to invest in science, EDU, and STEM. This will be for space exploration. Who votes for what in Congress? .gov Biden. So sorry, I don't really want to read all everything here, just so we're not dividing people in our stream. But yeah, that is the thing, is that I would like to see the return of education to NASA, the NASA education funds, and more earth science funding as well, personally. So yeah, it's people, if you look at the history, it's not like I agree that there was some impressive funding that the Trump administration did a good job of funding NASA, and doing some awesome things. And I'd like to keep that going under the next administration. So hopefully that's the case. And the best thing we can do is ask our, tell Congress, tell your representatives, your senators, let them know that you want increased funding, and that's something that is a very bipartisan thing. So I hope that when I'm saying these types of things, you guys are understanding that I think both parties want a well-funded NASA, because that's one of the staples of the United States that's really been something to be proud of, and something that's really pushed our country technologically into the future, frankly, is, look at how much stuff happened in the Apollo era that set up the United States for the next 50 years. It's really been phenomenal. Not Heisenberg says, no politics here, just space, no politics. I agree. We really tried. I'm trying to curb it as best I can. Mr. Nick, do you reckon there is any future in a permanent in-space spaceship that simply gets refueled and has lander modules? So that's basically what Lunar Starship is. Like, people, there's definitely going to be a market someday for space tugs, like on-orbit space vehicles, basically on-orbit space tugs. And because if you're not returning them, the hard part is, getting them. If you're going beyond low Earth orbit and you're not returning from low Earth orbit, you do have to have a lot of consideration. So if you have a vehicles dedicated to just being on orbit and doing things like that, being space tugs, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think we will see that very soon. Okay, guys, I'm going to shut it down. I made it. I got out of here. I'm going to have some dinner, and I will keep you guys in touch. Be sure you're, following me on Twitter, following me on Instagram, whatever. You'll see some updates. I'll let you know when I'm heading down to Texas and things like that. But meanwhile, I've got a lot of work to still do here. And yeah, it looks like, 45 minutes ago, real quick roundup, it looks like we had a good static fire-ish with a little bit of extra spice. We'll see if we'll learn more about that. Again, I think on Twitter we might hopefully get some answers. So we will see. We'll see if we can get some answers from Elon. And maybe things won't be that bad, and maybe they'll be able to, put it all back together, or whatever's happening on the ground systems. And they'll be able to do another static fire here soon, and I can hit the road relatively soon. But don't forget, Crew 1, the first truly operational Dragon spaceship. There's going to be 4 humans getting on a Dragon capsule already on Saturday. So mark that in your calendars. I'll be covering that. I'll be covering that for a lot. I'll be doing a multi-hour stream. Lots of questions to be answered, lots of bonus things. So get ready for that. Mark that in your calendars. This weekend, Saturday, Crew 1, SpaceX Crew 1, sending NASA astronauts and JAXA astronauts up to the International Space Station. It will be awesome. Tune in here. We'll see you guys then on Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned. All right, that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.